Hello, my beautiful feather tribe, and welcome back to Unbound Soul Tarot. My name is Helen, and I am super excited for another reading with you guys. So we are going to be looking into what it is that you are actually manifesting in your life right now. I just thought it would be a cool idea because, you know, sometimes we may be thinking that we are working towards something, but then, you know, it may turn out that we are actually taking action that is counterproductive to that goal that we have. And other times we may be completely unaware of what sort of consequences or results we are actually manifesting with our actions and decisions and thoughts and all of that. So I just thought this would be hopefully a very eye-opening, very insightful, very helpful, and very illuminating reading for you guys, and hopefully you agree. So anyway, we have another sort of deck selection thing going on here. So we have 4 piles once again, and they start from left to right. And yeah, so basically you get to choose the specific tarot deck that I will be using in any given pile. So you can go off of the gemstones that are attached to the piles. You can go off of the design of the backs of the cards, or the names, or if you have any sort of, you know, associations or any significations, anything that really stands up to you or means something to you, even if you know, vibe with the number of the pile. Just you do you and see what calls out to you, and then go off of that. But anyway, starting off with pile number 1, we have this tiger's eye mini wand. That's what I call it, at least. But this is a tiger's eye stone, and I'm going to try and show you these gemstones and crystals as you know, as best as I can, but because they are, at least some of them are quite small, the camera might not pick them up, or, you know, may not focus entirely. But anyway, so this is the tiger's eye, and the deck for pile number 1 is the Slavic Legends Tarot. So there we go. That's pile number 1. For pile number 2, we have the Amazonite gemstone. It's very, very bright blue with a hint of white in there as well. It almost looks like a, what's the word? Like turquoise. I feel like that's the closest color, or like baby blue or something like that, but with a hint of green. Again, I'm so sorry if you can't really see that too well. Trying to get its focus, but yeah, anyway. So bluish white gemstone there. And then the tarot that we will be using is the Abyss Tarot. So a full black and white tarot deck. There we go. Now, moving on to pile number 3, we have the very well-known and well-loved Rose Quartz crystal. And this one is clearly unrefined, so it's just this chunk. But again, hopefully you'll be able to see it okay. And for the tarot deck, we will be using the, I think it's called Mythos Tarot, something like that. I'm going to call it Mythos Tarot. I'm so sorry. I forgot to look up the pronunciation. Super shiny again. So, you know, hopefully you won't be blinded by this, but there we go. So this is for pile number 3. And finally, for pile number 4, we have what I believe to be Pyrite. And again, this is somewhat of a smaller stone. Has a slight shimmer in there as well, but hopefully you'll be able to see it. And then for the tarot, we have the Disney Villains Tarot. So there we go. Now that you have seen all of the piles more up close. You can take your time when choosing the pile, and you know, when you feel like you know which pile feels like yours or calls out to you, then you can go into the description box or the comment section down below, click on the timestamp that you need and jump to the reading that you want to watch. As I always say, if you feel called to more than one pile, that is absolutely fine. You can go ahead and watch as many as you like, but just bear in mind that this is a general reading, and it may be that only one of the pile, usually only one of the piles, speaks to your circumstances the most accurately or closely, and then there may be some tidbits of relevant information here and there in other piles too. But I always recommend using your discernment as you are listening to this general reading and just picking up what you want to pick up from the readings and leave everything else. Okay, so yeah, that's it. I'm gonna leave you here to choose, and I will see you in your reading in just a bit. Hello, pile number 1, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the Slavic Legends Tarot along with the Tiger's Eye Crystal, but we are going to dig into those a bit later, as is the norm on this channel, because first we are going to start off with some pre-prepared oracle cards and also some major Arcana tarot cards, because I've really been loving this system, and so that's what I am doing, at least for now. But yeah, we are first going to have a look at what sort of energy you are in currently, what sort of energy is around you, and what sort of situation or issue is at the forefront of your mind right now. That's the oracle card portion. So once we have all of that information laid out, we can then see what is going on with you, and then hopefully you will be able to decipher for yourself whether this is actually resonating with your current circumstances and whether you are watching the right pile. So having said all of that, let's dig into the tarot cards first. So what is your energy? What is pile number 1's current energy? Pile number 1's personal energy at this time. What is pile number 1's personal energy at this time? Okay, so interesting. You were getting 2 cards, and one of them pretty much turned itself upside down. And the funny thing is, I was just thinking about 2 cards for some reason, because normally only 1 card comes out, but I don't know. I had a feeling that we may get 2 for this one. Actually, I'm going to keep them like this. Hopefully you can see them okay and you won't mind. So we have the Devil and the Chariot in reverse that came out. The Emperor is at the bottom of the deck here. There we go. And then let's see what sort of energy is around you. So please describe the energy surrounding pile number 1. What sort of external influences are around pile number 1? What sort of external influences? Oh, interesting. I don't know whether that caught on camera. I hope it did, because it fell out super quickly, but the Emperor just flew out very aggressively, and that was at the bottom of the deck, as you could see previously. But the underlying energy now is the Star card, which I'm just going to show you, but I'm not really going to focus on this unless it comes out in the main portion of the tarot reading afterwards. So there we go. Now I'm going to show you all the cards more closely, and of course we're going to talk about them, but I'm first going to get all of the oracle cards out as well. So let's see what sort of situation is at the forefront of your mind. We have the Dragonfly first and foremost. We have the Orator, communication, confidence, and interestingly enough, both of these cards are air element. So, we have a water card now. Interestingly, there are some crystals on the back of this card. So we have ancestral connection. You are held by an ancient net of ancestral aid. Exploring ancestral connections offers a bounty of understanding, personal power, healing, and restoration. Honor connections with elders of family lineage, vocation, teachers, mentors, spiritual tradition, and ancestors of place. Meditate on ways you can be an excellent ancestor and bestow blessings on future generations. Okay, so that feels kind of deep, but let's keep going. We also have the guide with another air element, inheritance, correction. And finally, we have another water card with frog. Okay. Okay, pile number 1. So I can already feel that this reading is going to be quite deep and possibly somewhat heavy, so I just want to sort of prepare you guys that it's not going to be like this easy breezy light reading. But obviously if you are going to be resonating with this reading, then you'll very much already sort of know or recognize that that's the case. But you know, if that's not what you're feeling, then most likely you know, you may want to try another pile. But anyway, let's get into it. So we are starting off with your energy first. Now the 2 cards that you got are the Devil card, which is the card of Capricorn in the Major Arcana. And you also got the Chariot, which sort of came out in reverse. And this is a card of Cancer. Now, what's interesting is that both of these zodiacal signs are actually on the zodiacal wheel in opposition to each other. So they are at the opposite ends of the zodiac wheel. And so there is a very like heavy connection between these 2 signs, but they are also like polar opposites in their archetypes in some way. But the thing that sort of jumped out at me straight off the bat regarding your energy at this time is a feeling of being like tied down or almost being at the mercy of like your external situation or the people that you are surrounded by, or even like your upbringing, because you know the family dynamic theme is coming up very strongly in this reading. So it just feels like there is a bit of a stifled energy or a held back energy, especially with the Chariot coming out in reverse, which makes me feel that you have a perception of not really being able to move forward at this time or make any real progress or development in the direction that you want to make that progress, right? You feel as though you are up against a wall, or like something is off limits to you, like you don't have what it takes, or you don't have the necessary either the necessary tools, or you don't have the necessary support, or you don't have the even like the permission to do something that you want to do. Because with the Chariot card, it's very often, I'm just going to show it to you upright so you could see better, but with the Chariot card, it's very often about, you know, following your dreams. It's about having this deep-seated passion towards something, or this drive, this ambition. That's why very often you can see the Chariot being represented by like a moving vehicle as well, or there is the wheel that you can see on here too. Something that takes you forward. And there is a lot of willpower, there is a lot of determination and just sheer like belief in the self that you can achieve something. And also whenever the Chariot comes out, there is, at least to me as a reader, an element of the universe sort of supporting you in this, or having your back and making it a bit more easy for you to sort of go after what you want, because this card indicates that whatever it is that you are feeling this deep pull towards is actually meant for you. Like that thing that you desires you as well. But because it's coming out in reverse, it's telling me that, you know, there is something that is either blocking this progress. There is something that is, you know, almost like halting you in your tracks, or there are obstacles, there are delays, there are things kind of being in a standstill, not really moving ahead. And I do feel like it is more so because of a certain like perception, because the card that came out with it is the Devil, and the Devil is like, I hate to say it because it sounds so like dismissive, but in truth it isn't. But the Devil energy is very often in the mind. It's what we perceive to be our limitations. And once we sort of shift our mindset, we can actually start seeing a lot of the opportunities as well, and the sort of the exit door in our situation, as sort of like binding or restricting as it may be, or as we may perceive it, there is actually a way out. But like, don't be fooled by, you know, the expression that, you know, it's all in the mind, because that doesn't mean that the devil is not, or that the devil is any less powerful. All the power comes from the mind. Like, that's where all of the power lies. And so the devil is a very, very powerful energy. And so this is telling me that this sort of restriction or limitation that you feel is very powerful, and it has a lot of sort of weight when it comes to the decisions that you are making and the actions that you are taking. And so it's sort of like oversees everything. It has a bit of a ruling hand in everything that you do. But yeah, this definitely feels like a tied up energy, or like, you know, being controlled by something bigger than you, by something stronger than you. Again, even though this is just a perception, you know, especially with this card as well, you can see that there is actually this shadow play that is happening, that is not actually true. But it's still, I feel like the way that you are perceiving this is having a very, a lot of sway over you. Now, the interesting thing is that we have this Emperor card, which is a card of Aries, and that came out as the surrounding energy, or the energy that is influencing you in a very important or significant manner. So this could be like a significant person, someone specific in your life. This could be a group of people, or like a wider sort of dynamic that is influencing you, or this could even be just the sort of the general energy of where you are residing, or where you are spending the most time in your everyday life. So take it as it resonates. But with the Emperor, the first thing that sort of popped up for me was just very strict rules and systems and organization, regulations, foundations that are very solidly in place and that cannot be broken, that cannot be overstepped or worked around. It's almost like things are the way that they are, and there's nothing you can do about it. So this is a very rigid energy that I feel that is around you. Now, this could be an authority figure for you in your life, like a parent, or this could be like an older sibling, or, you know, in some cases it may even be a younger sibling, but they may just have some sort of sway over you, or a very commanding presence. This could be your boss, or this could be someone who is very important, or like oversees what you do in some capacity at work, or again, even in like your community or your friend group. But this is an energy that has power, right? And so what this is making me feel like is that the Emperor, whoever this person is the person who is making you feel like you are somehow dependent on them, or you are somehow attached to them with this devil energy. I feel like they are the ones who are making the sort of rules, or who are making, you know, certain things seem as super important that you need to uphold, or that you need to abide by. So in that instance, I do feel like you are very heavily being influenced by the energy that you are surrounded by. But now, moving on to the situation that is at the forefront of your mind, I can see that, as I said, there is a heavy feeling of like a family dynamic, or some sort of ancestral background, and sort of where you have come from, and possibly where you are still like living in, or how that is still very much affecting your everyday life. But I also feel like, because there are several cards here that are making me feel that there is this inherent desire in you to break free of that, to get away from the restriction, or to sort of pave your own path, to do something differently, or to break out of the mold. But also I feel like there is some hesitation in that as well. There is some difficulty in doing that. It's not like an easy thing to do. But I do definitely feel like there is some pattern breaking that seems to be at the forefront of this. And I mostly feel that with actually both of these cards here, because we have this frog card that came out, which is an element of water. And so this brings with it an energy of healing, of cleansing as well, you know, like washing away certain things that are weighing heavily on you, that are weighing heavily on your soul, and just trying to like rid yourself of the baggage of the past, of the heaviness. And I kind of like, I very much like the way that this card is depicted, or the way that the design is depicted. You can see this rain that is falling down, but it is like super black and it feels really, really heavy. And so I feel like it's almost, you know, this is making me feel that you are wanting to get away from the heaviness of the past, and from sort of the things that you have had to endure, or the things that you are possibly still enduring with the Emperor card. You know, it does feel like some semblance of like someone having control over you is still very much present in your life. Even though, you know, obviously if you're watching this, most likely you are not a child anymore, but it sort of still feels like it at times, or possibly that's how you could be feeling. We also have the guide here, right, with with inheritance and correction. And so this card very clearly and very sort of directly speaks about the sort of the ancestral baggage that we are given in our lives, and that we sort of have to deal with it, right? We just have to deal with the cards that we are given. There is nothing that we can do about it. We can't change where we come from. We can't change how we have been brought up, or what sort of experiences we have gone through in our childhood. That is something that we just have to like accept and work through, and do our best not to repeat with the sort of the next generation, should that be a possibility. Or just in general, so that, you know, so that whatever happened to us wouldn't rule over us for the rest of our lives, and that we wouldn't be making decisions from that past hurt, or that piece of wounding that we have, right? And so this just feels like wanting to like course correct, or wanting to move in a different direction. And I do feel like, yeah, with this card especially, even though this is actually like the energy of it is really like bright and supportive, and it's talking about the ancestral connection in a very positive spin, or through a positive spin. But I feel like for you, pile number one, I'm feeling that this is more of that like heaviness that comes with the ancestral connection, where maybe you are, you know, not that content with what sort of connections you have been given in this life, and are, you know, very much not wanting to be influenced by those. And so I definitely feel like this is a breaking free energy with both of the dragonfly and this communication and confidence. And I do see that this is, you know, requiring a lot of you, or from you, with the communication card, and just sort of asking you to almost like stand up and have, you know, have some sort of belief in yourself that you can stand apart, that you can overcome whatever this limitation or restriction is, and you can be your own person, and you can pave your own pathway, and you can do things differently than your parents or your guardians did with you. And I feel like with the dragonfly, there is also an element of like a certain type of illusion being broken down, and sort of truth being illuminated or coming to the forefront. Because, yeah, I do feel like there are certain things that you have experienced firsthand, but that you are also realizing as you are you know, as you are and as you have matured, that the things that your parents or your ancestors, your guardians have taught you are not necessarily like the truth, right? The end all be all. And I feel like you are starting to see through some of these things or some of these rules that have been imposed upon you, and starting to see things in a fresh new perspective. Almost like, I love that, I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but almost like this third eye that is on this skull is starting to shine. And I feel like you're starting to see things in a whole new way. Like your third eye is being opened up, it's being cleansed, and you are seeing things like as truly as they are. You are seeing through the illusion, basically. And so, yeah, this feels like a very powerful shifting of like a dynamic or an ancestral pattern, and breaking away from that. So yeah, that's what I feel like. But anyway, if you resonate with any of this, then make sure to keep on watching, because we're going to move on to the tarot portion now, and see what else we can find out. I'm going to prepare the cards, and then we will talk about the layout in detail. Okay, so let's dive into the spread, because there is quite a lot to go through. Now, I do want to actually start off with the underlying energy, because we have the Eight of Cups coming out in reverse. And now, one thing to sort of clarify about the underlying energy is that it sort of sums up the whole theme of the reading, or the whole, like, the juicy core of what it is that we are actually even looking at. And so with the Eight of Cups coming out in reverse, the whole thing seems to be revolving around you sort of not being too sure about leaving this situation behind. Now, because the Eight of Cups is always talking about something that is not actually fulfilling you, something that is emotionally devoid of nourishment. It's not actually meeting up or meeting your needs, your desires, your wishes. And so there is a lot of neglect with the Eight of Cups, because as you can see as well, the person is deciding to walk away from the situation that is no longer fulfilling for them, you know. And the Eight Cups that are depicted on this card as well, they all are empty. And so that is very much an indication of, you know, something that is like drained, something that is dead, done and over with pretty much. But something that has been an important part of the life or the journey for a long time. Something that, you know, you have possibly invested in a lot as well, or some sort of situation that has required you to make a lot of sacrifices. So a lot of time, a lot of investment, and a lot of sacrifices is what is essentially in the Eight of Cups card. And so when it comes out in reverse, though, that's when the nature of like having a hard time leaving it behind because of all of these sacrifices, because of all of these investments that have been made, even though the situation is very clearly not fulfilling you, it's not making you happy, it's not giving you what you need, but because there is so many associations, or there is, you know, so much attachment to what is, what has been, there's a level of like the comfort zone, right? Even though it may not be fulfilling, it's still familiar. It's something that you feel like relatively safe in. Whereas, you know, leaving that behind and moving into the unknown, that is not safe, that is scary. And so that's why there is this sense of hesitation. And I very much sort of feel that with these cards as well, but let's get into them. So the first card out that we have is the Five of Coins. And this card is depicting the past energy, something that has sort of led to this whole situation. And the Five of Coins is very much telling me that you have suffered serious lack. Now, because this is the suit of coins, it can very clearly talk about money, material, physical well-being that has been lacking. You know, maybe there has been lack in actual financial resources, or maybe even like your basic needs have not really been met, or maybe you felt a lot of lack like growing up, and you know, things like food and clothes and a roof above your head, or just feeling, you know, safe and protected. Maybe those sort of basic needs were not there for you when you were growing up, or at least, you know, recently maybe you have had to endure some really, really difficult times. But if it's not talking about specifically like money and the financial aspect or physical resources, it can also talk about feeling a lack of like emotional support or emotional nourishment, or, you know, just feeling like what you need, what you want, those things are not there. And so clearly you have been suffering through some really heavy times, and, you know, it has been very challenging. And I feel like it sounds bad, and so, you know, please, you know, take it with a grain of salt, and of course it's going to depend, like the severity, it's going to depend on your personal circumstances. But I do feel like it has almost like scarred you, or it has crippled you in some way, like this heaviness, or this period of lack and this period of hardship. It has left like serious wounds, or almost like an imprint on you in some way. And I feel like that's where a lot of this fear has been installed in you as well, or instilled, sorry, about like, you know, not making it on your own, or needing to be in this restrictive environment, not feeling safe to leave. And I feel that very strongly with the Eight of Swords coming out as the current energy that you are dealing with. So the Eight of Swords, you know, it's one of those cards that doesn't actually need that much explaining, because it's all there in the depiction of the card. You can see it clearly from the design that this lady is very much like tied up. She's even blindfolded, and she's surrounded by all of these swords. And so, you know, there is very clear restriction here. So as I was saying with the Emperor, it's evident that your surroundings are putting very heavy restrictions and limitations on you. That there is a very clear sense of not feeling like you have the freedom to, you know, do what you want to do, or make certain decisions, or make certain things happen for you. It just feels very, very like stifled. And again, the thing that sort of strikes me here is because we are still talking about the air element, right? The sword suit is all about the mind, the intellect, and the thoughts. So again, the Eight of Swords, even though it's very real, don't get me wrong, it's all in the mindset, you know, that you perceive to be sort of locked into this position, just like this woman on the card. But actually, in truth, she's not as trapped as she believes herself to be. And I feel like that's also the sort of the story here, or the situation with you as well, pile number one, that you are not actually as tied up as you believe to be. And it is like, more than anything, it is a question of shifting the mind. And that's what I feel like, that's why I feel that so many of these cards are coming out depicting the air element, which is tied to, as I said, the mind, the intellect, thought processes, beliefs, all that type of thing. So clearly at this time you are struggling, so that's coming through clearly. But the next 3 months, or in the near future, we have the card of the 10 of Swords, and I actually loved seeing that for you guys. It made me feel a certain sense of relief, because it does seem like you are going to be leaving something behind, or something is coming to an end. Whenever the 10 of Swords makes an appearance, yes, it can be difficult. Yes, it can be challenging. It's not an easy loss or letting go by any means, but it's a very necessary one, because what this is saying is that, you know, there is no more to be gained from the situation that you are in and the way that it is right now. And so especially, you know, if something is making you feel like helpless, or something has been almost like traumatizing you for a long time, then the 10 of Swords is bringing with it a sense of like respite, or a sense of freedom and liberation, where that thing is being, you know, concluded. It's being ended. Something is leaving your life in the next 3 months. And I very much feel like, because we are talking about this sort of situation, I do feel like the feeling of restrictiveness and being tied down and all of that, I feel like that is the thing that is changing. Again, we are dealing with the sword suit, right? So I feel like something in your perspective, or something in your beliefs, some sort of new idea could be sparked, or some sort of new conversation that happens, something like that. I feel like, yeah, I feel like in the next 3 months, there is going to be a rather significant ending for you, and a sense of sort of liberation. Now, when we turn our focus to the surrounding energies, we have the 8 of Wands coming out in reverse, and I'm going to show it to you upwards as well, or the sort of the upright version, which, you know, the 8 of Wands, when it is coming out upright, is talking of like swift movement, progression, and a very clear goal, and like fast-paced movement. But with it coming out in reverse, as I said, it clearly does feel like things are very much like slowed down at this time, or you are feeling a lot of resistance, or some, you know, facing some serious obstacles or challenges, and possibly things being like at a standstill. And so the main thing that I was actually feeling with this 8 of Wands in reverse is, again, that there isn't that much like support around you, or support or belief in what it is that you are doing, or what it is that you are trying to achieve with the Chariot in reverse here. So I do feel like, and again, especially because we have the 8 of Wands, which is very clearly talking about a specific goal, it does feel like you have something that you want to work towards, or that you want to achieve, that you want to go after or pursue, but that there is some heavy, like, either negation of that, restriction, even like, you know, this Emperor could even say that you are not allowed to do that, or you're not allowed to pursue this path, and just sort of causing a lot of like delays and restrictions, and, you know, I don't know, it just feels like there is a lot of saying no, or just sort of throwing a spanner in the works for you. That's what I feel the most with the 8 of Wands in reverse, as well as like not really having open communication, or not really feeling like you can discuss what it is that you're feeling, what it is that you are thinking, and what is actually like distressing you, or not really fulfilling your needs. I feel like you can't really have that discussion here, because, you know, there isn't any like open, free-flowing communication. So yeah, I feel like you could be experiencing like a shutting down, or a shutting down of conversations or ideas that you could be trying to voice. But we also have the 7 of Cups coming out, and this card is specifically talking about how you feel about the situation, your attitudes towards the situation. And with the 7 of Cups, it feels like you are trying to like visualize, and you are trying to tap into your emotions and see like what it is that really calls out to you, what it is that makes you feel nourished, right? It's the card before the Eight of Cups. It's usually the card that actually inspires the person in the Eight of Cups to go after the Nine of Cups, to leave the Eight Cups behind and see that, okay, maybe something is missing and maybe I need to go after and find what it is. And the Seven of Cups is where that inspiration comes from, right? So this is that like daydreaming, fantasizing, visualizing sort of energy. But there is also like another aspect to it, which is that you could possibly be seeing things in a bit of a skewed perspective, or some things may not be quite as they seem, right? Like we were talking with the dragonfly energy too, that, you know, you could have a perception of the situation which is not entirely based on facts and on reality. And that's what the Seven of Cups also indicates. So, yeah, but it does seem to me like you are very much like focused on going after or fulfilling your dream of some sort, or just going after that emotional fulfillment. Now, we also have the Two of Wands coming out in reverse, and this card is speaking of the outcome of this situation. And now, because the Two of Wands is coming out in reverse, it is telling me that you are going to be faced with the decision, and I feel like that decision is going to be very difficult for you to make. Again, I am being, you know, drawn back to this Eight of Cups in reverse, which, as I was saying, feels like there is a hesitation in leaving the familiar behind and stepping into the unknown. And the Two of Wands is pretty much the same thing, because when the Two of Wands comes out upright, there is an element of like exploring out into the unknown, seeing what else is out there, and looking into the horizon pretty much to figure out or plan the next steps in order to go after a new goal. Because the first one in the card, right, that has already been well established, that has already been experienced, and so that is the safe element, right? But going after the new inspiration, that is scary, that is still unexplored. So there is an element of like needing to decide whether you are going to be sticking with what it is that you know, or whether you're going to be caving into this new inspiration and following whatever is out there, right? Following the new path. And so because this Two of Wands is coming out in reverse, it's telling me that either you don't really want to make the decision, you are delaying the decision, you don't actually know like what decision to make, or you are just sort of refusing to make the decision. So there is a bit of this, all in all, there is an element of like indecision that is coming through very strongly here. And so, you know, and I do want to emphasize, it's not to say that you are not going to be making the decision at all, that you are not going to be taking any like physical steps to change your reality. It might just take some time. It might not be a very swift process. But I do also want to mention that I am going to be clarifying that Two of Wands as well as the Ten of Swords. So hopefully we'll get some more information about those as well. But the last card that we haven't touched is the Lovers card. And this is a card of Gemini, so another air sign, by the way. And very much tied to, again, the mental space or the head space and the mindset and thought processes and all of that. Now, this card is actually answering the question that we asked. So when we were looking at what it is that you are manifesting, this is what it is that you are manifesting, essentially. And so with the Lovers, though, I don't actually feel like a romantic note here at all, even though that could be the case for some of you, you know, that there could be some sort of romantic partner that actually like plays into this whole situation, or that is significant, especially if you are in like a partnership or in a relationship with someone. They could be crucial to you breaking out of this situation. But generally, I just feel like this is talking about the element of choice and needing to make a choice to commit to something, like a certain path. And that's why I wanted to like emphasize with the Two of Wands reversed that I do feel like you are going to be making a decision. It just may, as I said, take some time. It might not be such a quick or swift decision that is going to be like a clean cut from your current reality or the current dynamic that you are in, it may sort of take some baby steps, right? It may not happen all overnight. But essentially, the thing that you are manifesting is basically like a crossroads, or a point where you can actually decide to pursue a new path, to go down a new road, and commit to that road, right? Because that's what essentially the Lover's card is about. It's about committing to something that means something to you. But let's look at some clarifiers. So as I said, first and foremost, I want to look at the 10 of Swords in the upcoming 3 months. So let's see, what is this ending about? Can we get some clarifiers for the 10 of Swords regarding the next 3 months? Okay, yeah, we have the King of Swords. And the Ace of Wands is at the bottom of the deck, coming out in reverse. Now, so many Swords cards. Clearly, I mean, with the King of Swords, this is making me feel that this is the Emperor person. So I am getting more and more of a strong sense that this Emperor energy is talking about a specific person in your life. And with the King of Swords being the sign of Aquarius, by the way, so if, you know, maybe those signs mean something to you, we have Aries, Aquarius coming out very strongly here. They could have those sort of placements in the birth chart that are very significant, or yeah, they could be just sort of, you know, embodying that type of energy. But with the King of Swords, it's very clear that, you know, this is someone who is in an authoritative position. Again, this could be like a parental figure, or just someone who makes the rules, who makes the decisions, who says something, and then like everybody listens because they just, you know, they just have that position secured for themselves. And, you know, they are very like determined. They have very set in stone views and ways that they see things and ways that they think things should be. And also, you know, the King of Swords is someone who doesn't really display a lot of emotions. They sort of leave that on the side, and they focus solely on the logical part and on what they believe to be right and wrong. And so it's a very like, it can be a very like dry and cold energy. And I do have to say, I sort of feel that with this King of Swords. I don't feel that always, but especially in this instance, I definitely do. And so I feel like, you know, if this is talking about a specific person, if you recognize this person around you, then I do feel like the ending that is coming in the next 3 months, it could be like either your relationship with this person, or just you like following their order of going down the path that they sort of say that you need to go down. Yeah, almost like, you know, with the Ace of Wands in reverse, it's almost like you are not really, you're not deciding to, or you're deciding not to follow what it is that they want for you, the vision that they have, right, with the Ace of Wands here. But that path is something that you are declining. But just more generally, I do feel like if this King of Swords is not speaking of a specific person, it just feels like the thing that is changing is, again, the mindset of how you see something, or even like your decision to either do something or not do something. And also it could be just, you know, talking about a complete 180 when it comes to a certain plan that you have, or a certain path that you have previously been on. You know, it could be that you decide to like completely cut that off and start following or pursuing something that actually means something to you, that actually speaks to you, right? More of a, in a more of an, emotional capacity. But let's look at the Two of Wands in reverse as well. The Two of Wands in reverse. Okay. Okay, interesting. So at the bottom of the deck, we have the Nine of Cups, which is, again, you know, again, as I was saying, right, the emotional fulfillment that follows the Eight of Cups, where something that is unfulfilling, that is being left behind, and the Nine of Cups is being pursued. But I want one more card for the Two of Wands in reverse. Can I get one more clarifier for the Two of Wands in reverse? Can you please clarify the Two of Wands in reverse as the outcome? Okay. Yeah. Oh, interesting. And then we have the Two of Wands coming out upright at the bottom there. But yeah, listen, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I do feel like, yeah, this decision is definitely going to be very difficult for you. I'm not gonna lie. So, you know, you may feel like delaying the decision to move forward. As I said, I do feel like you are making the decision eventually. You are. And I feel like that's why this Two of Wands is coming out upright this time, because it is happening. I just feel like it's going to, like, the reason why it's taking some time is because it is definitely emotionally very taxing for you. And it is going to bring a lot of like pain when it comes to disassociation or just letting go of this dynamic, right? With the Two of Cups in reverse here again, I definitely feel like this person has such a strong influence on you, and the attachment that you feel to this person is so intense that moving away from that, leaving that behind, is something that is going to be heartbreaking. It's something that is going to be so incredibly difficult, but I also feel like it's something that is very, very necessary and very much needed for you to sort of, you know, move away and make peace with the situation and sort of start from a kind of like a clean slate, you know? So yeah, I'm going to quickly clarify the Lovers as well. Can you please clarify the Lovers? Thank you. Okay. Okay. We have the Death card that came out in reverse. The Death card is a card of Scorpio. And at the bottom of the deck, we have the Nine of Swords coming out, which is, again, by the way, a card of Gemini. And so, yeah, there is heavy like air sign energy, Gemini, Aquarius coming through very strongly. There is also definitely Cancer, Capricorn, and Aries as well. So, you know, again, just pointing them out in case they mean something to you. But with both of these cards, again, I do feel like, again, what it is that you are manifesting, it seems that you are manifesting, again, a very like significant ending, because the Death card is an ending, but because it's coming out in reverse, it's a delayed ending. And with the Nine of Swords, it's clear that it is causing you a lot of stress and a lot of like mental anxiety, and you know, it's not an easy decision. So I can see that again, this crossroads that you are manifesting, where you have to commit to some sort of decision, and that decision means leaving some sort of path behind and choosing another path. That is what you're moving towards, but I do feel like it is going to be, again, like it's going to take some time, and it's going to possibly be a bit of a lengthier process. You know, and I do feel like it's not just because it's like emotionally so heavily invested in, or that there are so many attachments, but I also feel like there are a lot of possibly like physical, material considerations as well, or some sort of like other more tangible ties that are making it difficult for you to separate from whatever this like unsupportive environment is. So yeah, as I said, I am not going to like sugarcoat it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you all of these, you know, beautiful and nice and fluffy things, because that's not really what is coming through in the cards. And I hope that you can appreciate that, even though I do understand that it's possibly difficult to hear. But I also feel like you are essentially moving in a very like healing direction. Again, if you remember, at the bottom of the deck from these cards, we had the star energy. So there is clearly healing involved. But it is not going to be, like, as I said, a swift process. And it is going to take time, and it is going to take patience, and especially like understanding towards yourself. But yeah, I feel like ultimately you are moving towards a change, or at least like options opening up to you, where you are able to break free from this very like repressive or limited situation or energy that you are in right now. And you know, starting to make a way into a new way of being, or into a new life for yourself. But wow, I'm going to leave this tarot portion here, and I'm going to end the reading with a few oracle cards from an oracle deck. But I do want to warn you guys, I haven't used this oracle deck on my channel before, and now that I actually see it, and I don't know why I felt called to finally pull it out, because it's called the Naughty Oracle or something like that. And it is like, some of the expressions on these cards are like actually quite blunt, and there are a lot of like cuss words, swear words here as well. So, you know, these messages are not to be taken like overly seriously, and they are meant to be more of like a lighthearted energy, but still with a very punchy or meaningful advice or message coming across. And so I just find it funny that, you know, we've had such a heavy and deep reading, and then, you know, I felt called to use these more like lighthearted oracle cards. So hopefully you don't mind, and hopefully you're not like insulted by the messages. So just don't take these too seriously. But let's see what sort of advice Spirit wants you to have as the closing message of this reading. I want to get some advice for pile number 1 regarding their reading. Okay, we first have, you really are a special type of fucktard. Shine your uniqueness. So let's focus on the shine your uniqueness message. Which is just saying that, to me, I feel like this is actually such a necessary piece of advice, because what this is saying is that, like, you are the way you are for a reason. And if you feel like you don't really belong into this like rigid system or, you know, regulated rule set or whatever, then it's possibly, you know, again, for a very good reason, and you are not meant to fit into some sort of tight or strictly labeled and highly regulated box. Like, you were meant to be who you are and who you came here to be, and follow your own path, right? And if someone doesn't like that, or if someone is trying to, you know, make it more difficult for you to be who you are, then, you know, there's something wrong with them, not you. Okay? Okay, yeah, and I feel like that's why we also have, we have 2 6s, by the way, number 42 reducing down to 6, and number 33 reducing down to 6. So that's a card of, a number of harmony, by the way. But we also have pull your head in, show more compassion and gratitude. And I do feel like that is actually targeted at like having compassion and gratitude towards yourself. And again, like not really feeling like you have anything to be ashamed of, or anything that you need to hide away because of like what someone is saying around you or what other people are telling you. You have the right to be who you are, just the way that you want to be. And again, carve your own path. So yeah, be gentle with yourselves, pile number 1, as you are going through this shift. But what other sort of advice do you have for pile number 1? What other sort of advice do you have for pile number 1? Okay, thank you. Wow. From the bottom of the deck, I can already see that this is punchy. Okay, yeah, we have, wow. Okay, this is crazy. We have number 1 coming out, and the underlying energy is number 10. So 10 further reduces down to 1 because it's cyclical energy. And so you have 6611, so you have repeating numbers, which very often to me means that there is like angelic support around you, and that, you know, whenever you see some repeating numbers popping up, especially like 1166 or 1616 or 6161, or however these numbers come across, or however you happen to see them around you, you know, try and take note of these, because this is a sign from your angels and your spiritual team that they are with you, they are around you, and that you are safe. So we have angel anarchy, move away from control. Isn't that like actually so crazy? Because that's the thing that we have been talking about like pretty much this whole reading. And so, yeah, it's very clear that, you know, Spirit is urging you to break away from this rigid, like, influence. Yeah. But again, obviously, ultimately, I do want to mention that, you know, this is up to you, and you get to make your own decisions and see how you want to live your life. And even though these messages are coming through, that doesn't mean that you have to abide by these messages, right? I'm just giving you what Spirit is trying to tell you, and then ultimately you can do whatever you want with that information, whether you want to follow it or not. But at the bottom of the deck, I love this. We have Devil in Drag, Identity Crisis. Because as I said, I feel like this just beautifully sums up the whole reading that we have been talking about. And clearly there is a change, there is a shift in how you perceive yourself, and how like the people or the person around you sees you, and what they sort of are trying to push upon you, and the whole like background influence and everything that we have been going over in this reading. It's clear that it is like messing with your head a bit, when like the true you is sort of trying to come out, and it's starting to battle the preconceived, or the conception that you've had of yourself up to this point, because of all of the programming around you and all the pressure. But I do feel like, you know, again, this crisis is very necessary, and it is happening ultimately so that you could free yourself from this. So, wow, I'm going to draw a line under this reading now. I'm going to leave it here, not drag it on anymore, because yeah, this was pretty consuming. This was pretty heavy, and hopefully, you know, this reading spoke to you. Hopefully it gave you something meaningful. And I do understand that it obviously dragged on for quite a long time, and I do appreciate if you're still here watching and listening to this reading. But I feel like everything had to come out, and a lot of these points that I felt like I needed to reiterate they had to be said several times because of the weight that they had. Hopefully that makes sense, but I'm going to stop rambling now. So anyway, pile number 1, I am wishing you all the best. I understand that this is difficult, but your spiritual team, your angels are clearly here. They are trying to help you through this process, and I am wishing you all the best, and you can do this, okay? You have what it takes. You can do this. And if you enjoyed this reading, then please feel free to leave me a thumbs up or a comment in the comment section, just letting me know that this was your pile, and you know that you resonated with this. It would mean so much to me. And also don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done that already, because I would love to have you on my channel, and that would let me know that you want to see more from me as well. That will help my channel out a lot. So having said all of that, thank you so much, and I am wishing you all the best. Please take care of yourselves, and I hope to see you very soon in my next one. Bye-bye. Hello, pile number 2, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the Abyss Tarot along with the Amazonite Stone. So we are going to be digging into these tarot cards in just a bit, because we're first going to start off with some major Arcana tarot cards, as well as some pre-prepared Oracle cards. And if you are not new to my channel, you are most likely already familiar with this new system that I have, and I've been really enjoying it. So the way that this is going to go is that we're first going to look at your personal energy at this time and also the energy that is around you. So any external influences that are surrounding you. And then we're going to look at the situation or the issue that is at the forefront of your mind right now. And that is going to come through these oracle cards here. So hopefully that'll give us an understanding and it'll give you a clue as to whether you're watching the right pile or not. And yeah, so that's it. Let's see. Let's start off with your energy first. Could you please describe pile number 2's energy? Pile number 2's personal energy at this time. It wasn't that one. There we go. Okay, we have the Lovers. And what is the energy that is surrounding pile number 2? What sort of energy is around pile number 2 as their external influence? Okay. And we have Temperance. At the bottom of the deck we have the Magician, which I'm just going to show you, but as always, if this card doesn't come out in the tarot portion later, then most likely I'm not going to focus on this too much, but we're just making a mental note that that is the underlying energy. So I'm going to show you the cards in a second, but we're going to look at the oracle cards first. So we have, okay, Dragon is coming out first. We also have the Twins. Oh, that's interesting, with the Lovers being your energy. You know, the card of Gemini, the Twins in the zodiac. Self-protection, dual natures. Incubate dreams. This is a water sign or a water element card. Yeah. And it says, nurture and guard your fledgling dreams with fierce love. Nourish your hopes and visions by keeping them close to your heart until they are ready to hatch in their full splendor. Pay attention to your nighttime dreams as they are littered with jewels of guidance for speedily bringing your waking dreams to life. Okay, and it's kind of interesting because and I'm going to show you the cards close up as well, but it almost looks like a dragon. Like it's like a sea dragon or something. It doesn't have any legs, but it actually looks like a dragon that is nestling an egg over here on this card. So that's kind of crazy that you're getting this dragon energy twice. And then we also have the Herald, small regrets and longing. And finally, we have the Rabbit with the earth energy coming through. Okay, pile number 2. I have to admit, I actually sat with your cards for quite a long time because the energy is just like really all over the place. And honestly, like it just feels super emotional, the whole thing. But we're going to talk about it, you know, one card at a time. So starting off with your energy, you came out as the Lovers card, which, as I already said, is a card of Gemini or the Twins. Now, this is a card of, you know, having to make choices or having some sort of, you know, like a dualistic situation that needs considering. But it can also just talk about being in a very deeply, you know, emotional or deeply loving space, having your heart sort of wide open and being in that sort of position of, you know, wanting to surrender to something or someone else. This very often is like a card that has a romantic connotation to it, but it doesn't necessarily have to mean that, you know, this is speaking of like a specific like romantic relationship in your life. This can also talk about, you know, the love that you have for a family member or for a sibling, for a friend, that type of thing. But yeah, I have to say, I feel like this could more so be aiming towards like a romantic partnership that you have, or it could, you know, be talking about your sort of commitment and very deep-seated emotions, like heavy emotional investment in some sort of project that you're pursuing, or work that you are doing, career, some sort of like dream vision that you want to achieve. So take that as it resonates. But I do feel like this Lovers card in this instance is talking of like pretty big emotions that you are sort of overcome by at this time. Now, the interesting thing is that your surrounding energy is the Temperance, and this is a card of Sagittarius. So this is the interesting thing. When your energy seems to be like really almost like overflowing and boundless, like that's what I feel with this Lover's energy. This is very like pure, unrestrained, not holding back, just sort of, feeling everything and anything, and letting it all sort of happen and wash over you. Being like very deeply imbued in that. Whereas the Temperance energy is like very much sort of at ease or controlled, or much more like managed, because this in essence is an energy of, balance and moderation, and things sort of, being kept in the middle, or following some sort of some sort of middle ground, or that type of thing. The energy around you is like weirdly quiet compared to your energy. Now, because the Temperance energy is also connected to, like transmutations of, because it's in essence, it's also a card of alchemy, being in a position of turning one thing into another. So there is this like notion of experimentation or trying something new. I kind of get the feeling like there could be some subtle changes as well that are happening around you, or things that are sort of ever so slightly shifting. Yeah, it feels like things are moving around you, but they don't seem to be moving quite as like swiftly or powerfully as maybe you would like them to. I'm gonna go into the situation now, but I just feel like a slight difference between, your energy, which feels just so much more, just so much more invested and so much more sort of alive and emotional. And then when this Temperance card, I mean, it still feels like there is some energy flowing and things are happening, but it feels a lot more, again, like slowed down and subtle. Now, looking at the situation or issue that is at the forefront of your mind, as I said, it feels like there is a lot of emotion at play here, but I also feel like there is something that you are very clearly sort of, wanting to have happen. Now, as I said, you kind of got like two cards of the dragon energy, with the dragon card coming out first. And then hopefully you'll be able to see it. But like on the card here as well, as I said, it kind of looks like a dragon, but without any legs. So it almost has like a serpentine body or something. It looks kind of like a snake, but then it also looks like a dragon, anyway. So it does seem with both of these cards that there is something that is very heavily like lighting you up, something that you feel very passionately about, because the dragon card is actually tied to the third chakra in our chakra system, which is the solar plexus chakra, and that's also where our ego is located. But it also sort of is the center where our like self-expression comes from, or where we have this sort of courage or light that like shines out of us that people often can sort of sense and respond to. So that's why I always sort of associate the third chakra or the solar plexus chakra with Leo energy, because it's that sort of energy that like radiates out of you and that like almost demands to be seen. So in that sense, I kind of get the feeling, pile number 2, that there is some serious emotion and passion that is tied into this whole situation. And you seem to be very, very heavily focused on it, almost like, you know, not allowing yourself to be distracted by anything. So that's why I mean, like, there is this very interesting contrast coming out, because your feelings seem to be, like, honestly very strong, very set. And then the Temperance energy is just like, it almost feels like it's lagging behind, or like, you know, yeah, like it's not quite on the same level as you are. Now, this could be talking about a relationship because of the Twins card, right? So again, you know, the Lovers card that you came out as, if this is actually another person that you are so sort of invested in or focused on, then, you know, obviously this whole situation could revolve around them and your relationship. But if it's not like a relationship per se, or it's not like another person, then it just feels like, you know, there is another aspect to the situation that is making you like somewhat hesitant, or that is making you question some things with the self-protection and dual natures energy here. Now, the other interesting thing is that I didn't even notice it at first, but you actually got the rabbit twice as well. Like, both of these cards depict a rabbit. The Herald one, I think it's actually like a hare or something, but you know, anyway, it's a rabbit. So that is so sort of interesting to me, because the rabbit energy itself is actually talking about fear. It's actually talking about, you know, the moment where we freeze up because of all of the anxious and overwhelming thoughts that we have about, like, what if something goes wrong, or, you know, where we don't feel safe, and when we start over analyzing or overthinking about our current situation and the future. And so with the Herald energy, it's kind of coming through as well, you know, with longing and small regrets. So it could be that, you know, a part of this heavy investment that you have, or this heavy emotional state that you are in, is actually like tangled up with certain regrets or certain fears that are arising from your past experiences. You know, some things that didn't actually work out the way that you wanted them to, or where you just experienced a very serious sense of disappointment. And so again, you know, if this is talking about a relationship, it could be that your previous experiences, or maybe, you know, maybe you have made some mistakes in the past, or maybe someone else has done you wrong in some way. It just feels like past experiences are making you fearful of actually like pursuing this situation fully, or, you know, jumping head on into the whole thing and putting your everything into it. But if this is not talking about a relationship, and it's talking about some sort of like career, or just some sort of other life vision or dream that you have for yourself, it could also refer to, you know, a time in the past where maybe you missed out on some sort of opportunity, or maybe you, again, like failed in something, you know, quote unquote failed. Or maybe, you know, you made some mistakes that like cost you very deeply. So it whatever this like situation is specifically for you, it feels like past disappointments are very much playing into your sort of ability to fully like commit to this situation or to this relationship, and sort of take it to the next level in the way that you want to take the relationship or the situation. So again, you know, with this incubate dreams, it feels like at this time, this dream or vision that you have is like is very much at like an idea level, and possibly not that much like physical action is being taken, or if you are taking some action, then I feel like it's very much again influenced by this like hesitant energy of being afraid to make the same mistake again, or maybe this fearful energy is also like, it could also be that it's coming from outside of you and it's not actually your own fear that is cropping up, but it's, if it's a relationship, it could be your partner's fear that is like influencing the situation, and it could be like causing you anxiety as well, that they are having some, hesitant thoughts or something that is holding them back, right? So that's what this temperance could mean, that your partner is in this temperance energy and like monitoring the situation or taking things very slowly and very carefully considering all of the moves. Or, again, it could be that someone else's energy is like making you fearful or influencing you some way, because the temperance energy is clearly playing a role. So if this is like a specific person around you, or if this is just general energy that you are surrounded by, it's clear that it is having an effect on this very like concrete and set emotional state that you are in, and it's sort of making you a bit doubtful or throwing a spanner in the works, right? Because again, we have this self-protection energy here, and so it feels like either you or another person who is very deeply involved in this situation is very much concerned with safety and keeping themselves safe. So yeah, there seems to be this like going back and forth on like how going after this thing, again, whether this is a vision for your relationship or whether this is like a career thing, whether going after this thing is going to, like how it's going to make you happy, or how it's going to fulfill certain dreams that you've had for yourself. But then on the other hand, it could also be highlighting certain like fears for you, or, what if things don't go my way? What happens then? Or what if this thing doesn't work out? What happens then? And so it seems to be this like weighing things up and down that is sort of at play. But I don't know. Okay, I'm going to stop rambling. Hopefully, the whole mess that I just did, trying to explain this energy that I'm feeling, hopefully it made sense to you. Hopefully you recognize something in your situation. But I'm gonna get the tarot cards out now. So, if you could relate to this thing at all, if this made sense to you, then make sure to keep on watching, because we are now going to look at what it is that you're actually manifesting through a 7-card layout using the Abyss Tarot. So I'm going to prepare the cards. We're going to get all of the layout done, and then we'll talk about the reading. Yeah, as I said, there is some very interesting dynamic that is happening, or as I previously said, contrast between these like very different energies. Or, on the one hand, we have this dragon energy, which is like, again, super on fire, super confident. And then on the other hand, we have this rabbit energy, which is like full of fear, full of anxiety, full of worry and unknown. And so it's kind of interesting that we're getting the same sort of, weird, you know, not in a judgy way weird, but just weird energy coming through these cards as well. But we're going to talk about them one by one. Hopefully it'll start making more sense. So I'm going to start with the underlying energy actually, because you have the Hermit card, and you actually have like several major Arcana cards coming out here. We have the Wise one, which is the Hermit, and we have the Tower as well. But, you know, don't be alarmed because we're going to talk about all of the cards. But yeah, with the underlying energy being another major Arcana card, the Hermit, and the underlying energy sort of usually summing up the whole reading or the whole theme. It's very clear that this is all surrounding like some sort of inner realization that you have, or some sort of like illumination or piece of information that you sort of get, or maybe you already have it, but it feels like something that you deeply know to be true. That seems to be like at the forefront of this thing. And I know it sounds like really confusing and really vague, but I feel like whatever you are feeling, because the Hermit is all about you and your sort of inner landscape, what you feel to be true, your truest path or your truest calling, that seems to be at the forefront of this reading. That seems to be the most important aspect of the reading. Now, I'm just going to throw it out there before I get into the cards, because of this Hermit energy, which by the way is Virgo energy, and I'm just gonna, you know, point out the zodiacal signs as they come so that maybe you can relate to them somehow, but if you don't, that's fine too. But the Hermit card does indicate a certain level of like independence, solitary being, or like isolation as well, or needing to detach from things so that you could work things out for yourself within yourself without the distraction of the outside world, you know? And so again, just throwing it out there in case this is someone's story. But you know, if you are going through like a separation or something, if you were going through a divorce, or if your relationship is sort of in the process of, you know, changing, in the sense that you are maybe deciding to like move start living separately, or, you know, just working through the processes of separation in general, then yeah, it could be that that's where all of this, like knowing that it like needs to be done, knowing that it's the right thing, but also having a lot of like fear and unknown and anxiety about what life is going to look like after the whole process is done. So again, you know, I'm not saying that this has to be your story, but I'm just sort of throwing it out there because it sort of just randomly popped into my head. But anyway, so let's get into the cards one by one. Now, the first card that we have is the Two of Pentacles, and this is talking about the past. Now, because the Two of Pentacles is actually, again, a very like dualistic card, because all of the twos are, it's all about like keeping a balance, or trying to, you know, make two things work at the same time, or keeping something afloat. It feels like, you know, there has been a lot of balancing, and there has been a lot of trying to make a situation work by like almost like keeping everyone happy. Yeah, it's almost like you're trying to, or you have tried in the past, to balance two like situations or two realities at once. But the thing about the Two of Pentacles though is that, I mean, even though because it's coming out upright, it looks as though, you know, you managed to do it. You managed to keep things afloat. You managed to keep things going. You managed to keep something going, even though it was difficult, even though it was taxing, and even though, you know, you had to like prioritize things or sort of work around certain situations and obstacles to keep the situation going. But I also feel like this whole balancing act like became really, really tiring and really taxing. And I feel like that's why you are at this point now where you sort of are ready to like take a step in one concrete direction, like you're ready to make a decision in something and commit to one certain path. Because I feel like this like wishy-washy energy it's just not sustainable, you know. It wears you out at one point, and there comes a point where you feel like, you know, you can't do everything anymore, and you can't be everything to everyone anymore. And so, you know, this point of like needing to make a decision, I feel like that is something that drove you to this point, basically. And this point being the Queen of Wands in reverse, which we are getting as the present energy. This is actually, I'm just going to show it to you uprights as well. This is actually a card of Aries, but it can really talk about any fire sign. So we have Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius. But the Queen of Wands coming out in reverse, it just feels like there isn't that much, you know, confidence or, you know, juju or willpower anymore. Like there is a lack of energy, there is a lack of fire, and yeah, it just feels like a drained or worn out energy. Now, even though this is a queen that we are talking about, it doesn't have to refer specifically to a woman. So we're not talking about gender, but we are talking about like feminine energy. And so I do feel like, you know, especially considering the Two of Pentacles that we had here before, you know, it feels like there has been a certain level of like accommodating someone else's needs and accommodating someone else's wishes that has been possibly to the detriment of yourself. And I feel like that's why at this time, you know, with the Queen of Wands in reverse, which I do actually feel like very heavily that this is your energy, and that this is coming through as like the most significant energy at this time, because it just feels like there isn't, it just feels like something sort of has to change, because yeah, for some reason I feel like something has like drained you in a way. But then because it's still the Queen of Wands, you know, as we said, as we talked about previously, there is a certain like fire, but that fire seems to be related to something else now, you know, possibly yourself, possibly wanting to focus your attention on yourself and what it is that you want and what it is that you want your future to be. Because again, remember, the underlying energy is the Hermit. So in essence, this whole reading is actually about you and what you want for yourself. So yeah, that's what I'm feeling with the Queen of Wands here. But the interesting thing is that in the near future, within the next 3 months or so, we have the Ace of Wands coming out. And I love seeing the Ace of Wands here, because this is telling me that within the next 3 months, like this sort of, again, as I said, this weird contrast of going back and forth energy, that seems to be coming to an end. Because with the Ace of Swords, this is clarity. This is a very firm vision. This is a very concrete decision. And just, it almost feels like, you know, something happens and then suddenly you know exactly what you need to do. You know exactly what needs to happen. And there is like very clear communication, a very clear expression from you. And just a very clear mindset as well, because the Ace of Swords is actually, you know, it does symbolize a certain sense of victory as well, or like a breakthrough energy. But because it's the sword suit, it is talking about the mind, the intellect, the thought processes. And so clearly something is going to click in your mind, and there is going to be a very clear solution or a very clear sort of decision that gets made. And that I feel like is going to almost like start this whole process. Yeah, it's basically going to kickstart this whole process. Because again, for the time being, it feels like, you know, things are possibly slow, like not slowing down necessarily. But again, with this Temperance energy, it just feels like things are not necessarily moving along very quickly. Or it may even feel to you as if things are sort of not moving at all. They could seem to you as like they are in a standstill. But in truth, I feel like, you know, because temperance energy is so subtle, it could also mean that things are happening like behind the scenes, energetically, you know, things are being set up and the right situations and the right moments and the right opportunities and all of that are sort of being lined up. So for the time being, it just could be this like weird in-between state, you know, where like you know what it is that you want, or you have like certain very strong feelings about something, but then also, you know, life has not quite caught up with you yet, or the universe is not quite where you are yet. So we have the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. So funnily enough, another ace, but this is talking about surrounding energies. I'm going to show it to you uprights as well. So this is what the Ace of Pentacles looks like. But see, that's the interesting thing again. Because, you know, when we were talking about the temperance energy, and I said that like things are sort of, you know, they are a bit weird and they are a bit like slow and subtle. With the, you know, with the Ace of Pentacles in reverse, it feels like, you know, there isn't that much like safety or security around you at this time, you know, which again makes sense with temperance being the energy of like transmutation or sort of things shifting and changing. So yeah, it kind of just feels like the Ace of Pentacles reversed is symbolizing like not having that much security, but it could also refer to some sort of potential or some sort of idea falling through, something that you possibly had a lot invested in, but then it hasn't quite like worked out the way that you wanted it to, or there isn't any physical evidence or any physical results that have come from that. So basically, you know, this is just giving me a lot of like uncertain vibes, and something that had a lot of like potential to it, or something that you possibly had a lot of hopes for as well, hasn't really, you know, manifested in that way, in the way that you wanted it to. So yeah, this Ace of Pentacles is kind of weird, I have to say. And I'm not really a fan of this Ace of Pentacles in reverse. Now, again, you know, whether this is like generally the surrounding circumstance or whether this is someone else's energy, it just feels like it's not really, you know, physical. It's not really something, I don't know, I want to say real, but that sounds kind of bad. So anyway, hopefully you kind of got what I was trying to say. It just doesn't feel in like invested. I don't know. So I'm going to leave it there. But we have the Nine of Cups as well, which is, again, referring to your attitude towards the situation. And funnily enough, this is the Cups card. And so, as I said, it feels like you are very emotional and very heavily emotionally invested in whatever this thing is. So the Nine of Cups is clearly indicating that your standpoint at this time is coming from a very emotional point. And the main focus at this time for you seems to be like, again, your own dreams, your own wish fulfillment, your own well-being, right? And so it kind of seems like that is everything, that is the most important thing right now. You know, just wanting what is best for you and wanting to go after the thing that really would nourish you and make you emotionally, you know, feel really, really good. And so we get to the outcome card, which is just, this is where like, yeah, this is where stuff gets kind of wacky, because we have the Tower, which is a card of Mars. And this is basically saying where the situation is headed. Now, what the Tower is telling me is that basically things are kind of not in your control at this time. Or this whole situation is, I feel like there is going to be a certain level of divine intervention, because whenever the Tower comes in, it always represents like really sudden and unexpected change. Now, the thing is though, I feel like you are looking for a change anyway. Like this is something that you are actually welcoming or wanting to happen. And as I said with the Temperance card, it feels like the shifting that is currently happening is not happening fast enough for you. Or it's like something about the pace of this Temperance energy seems to be like irritating you, or it seems to not quite vibe with you. So the Tower is telling me that things are going to be shifting, and they're going to be shifting in a major way for you. And again, you know, there may be a few twists and turns in there, things that you don't actually even expect, because the Tower always brings a certain level of sudden realizations and like, you know, throwing things on its head and completely taking you by surprise. And I know that the Tower card scares a lot of people oftentimes, but in this instance, I actually feel like this is a very welcome thing, and this is actually a very good thing. You know, I'm not saying that this is going to be like a walk in the park. It could still be, you know, a difficult change, because yeah, again, like Tower is not it's not necessarily an easy change, but I do feel like it's a very necessary one. And again, all in all, it is in alignment with what it is that you actually want for yourself, right? So it's making room for the right things. And so this brings us to the last card, which is the Wise One, or the Hierophant, and that came out in reverse. Now, this is a card of Taurus, and again, just showing it to you so you could see the design of the card as well. So the Hierophant is, you know, very often a card of like traditions and following certain constructs, institutions, societal norms, that type of thing. But because it's coming out in reverse, that's what is telling me that the thing that you are actually manifesting is like something out of the box, or something that is not the norm, something that possibly other people don't understand, other people don't approve of, or, you know, they just don't like, basically. Because whenever the Hierophant comes out in reverse, this is you sort of dancing to your own tune and doing things the way that you want to do them. And that may not necessarily fall in line with how things are usually done or how they have always been done. Right? And so it seems like you are actually manifesting a massive change. And so that's why it's kind of interesting that we are getting both the Hierophant in reverse and the Tower, because it does seem like things are going to be shifting quite significantly for you. It seems like that, and that's also the reason why I was saying that I feel like the Tower card is actually something that you are sort of hoping for or welcoming. Because it seems to be the thing that you are after yourself anyway. And that is also the reason why I was, you know, I got the scenario of like a divorce or a separation happening, because Hierophant energy in reverse can also indicate like divorce or separation, because it's very often to do with like, you know, legal contracts or like long-term commitments, that type of thing. So yeah, anyway, so basically you were manifesting a pretty significant change, and yeah, it seems to sort of turn things on its head, but I also feel like it's happening sort of in alignment with what is actually meant for you and what it is that you truly want with the Hierophant energy, with the Hermit energy. You know, so this is all about you. But I do want to clarify a couple of cards as well before we get to the advice portion. Yeah, I actually feel like I want to clarify, let's see. I want to clarify the Tower, and I want to clarify, yeah, let's clarify the Major Arcana. So let's start with the Tower card, with the outcome. Let's clarify the Tower in the outcome. What is this Tower about? Okay, interesting. We have the Page of Cups in reverse, and we also have the 10 of Swords coming out in reverse as well. So, yeah, I feel like with the 10 of Swords in reverse, like this is something that, again, it just seems to be like so dead, done and over with, like something that is just way beyond its time, and something that is meant to be like released, you know, so that a fresh new beginning could start. Because when the Ten of Swords comes out in reverse, like at least this time, it is making me feel of like an ending that has been dragged out, or something that is, again, like some sort of past influence that is holding the situation back from actually like having a clean cut and moving forward towards a new beginning. And so there is this like delaying energy. And with the Page of Cups in reverse, it just feels like, yeah, like a refusal of some sort of offer, or yeah, like some sort of emotional conversation or something like that. So, you know, very often the Page of Cups actually makes me think of like an apology, or coming forward with like sincere feelings. But with this, it feels like, you know, either the offer is rejected, or like some sort of conversation is denied. So yeah, it seems like, again, whatever the situation is for you, and I do have to say, like, very heavily it seems to be talking about some sort of relationship for you. But again, I'm just sort of giving you what I'm feeling here. It feels like this Tower moment is going to, yeah, it is going to be regarding some sort of like communication or negotiations, or someone like trying to make amends or something like that. It just feels like a shutting down energy. And I feel like, again, I feel like that is sort of coming from your side. Or that, you know, again, if this is talking about someone approaching you with like an apology or trying to make amends or some sort of thing, then I feel like the whole surprise could be that that is not happening. Okay, hopefully that wasn't too confusing, but let's look at the Wise One in reverse. So the Hierophant in reverse. What is this Hierophant in reverse that pile number 2 is manifesting? Oh, okay, interesting. See, we are getting so many Cups cards, so clearly this thing is super, super emotional. Yeah, but we have the Ten of Cups, which is a card of, you know, like family usually, but it can also be about like emotional satisfaction, emotional fulfillment. And we also have at the bottom of the deck, we have the Seven of Wands in reverse. And so again, it feels like this is some sort of, you know, like giving up the fight, or not really bothering to, you know, stand up against other people's opinions, or other people's, you know, when other people are trying to like tear you down, or make you feel bad about the choices that you're making because they would make the same choices or something like that. So basically this is just opposition from other people. And you know, because it's coming out in reverse, you sort of not really dealing with those anymore. And with the Ten of Cups, it just feels like you are choosing some sort of like ultimate happiness for yourself, which again, I feel like could be very, very different to like what everyone else thinks that should be your happiness or something like that. But again, you know, because as I said, the Hierophant card can be a card of marriage as well, or like deep level long-term commitment. And with the Ten of Cups being here with again, like a very, very heavy card of like family ties, or like home life, it could mean that that is what you are actually changing, you know? So yeah, okay. So I don't really feel like I need to clarify anything else, but let's look at some advice as well for you before we close this reading out. And I am using an oracle deck that I haven't used before on my channel. It is, it's called actually the Naughty Oracle. So, you know, the messages are somewhat like, how should I say it? They're not necessarily the most like polite and very nicely phrased all the time, but they are sort of, you know, more so lighthearted. So hopefully, you know, this advice section is sort of in a tongue-in-cheek type of way, and not to be taken overly seriously and not to be taken too personally, but I'm just giving you a heads up that, you know, these messages can be, somewhat out there. Anyway, so advice for you seem to really want to come out. Okay, wow, so this all just flew around. Okay, so we have number 41 with the number, what's the word? Basically 41 can also be read as number 5. And we have, why so serious, droopy dog? Find your joy. See? So yeah, clearly, again, what it is that you want and what it is that makes you happy, right? With this lover's energy, that seems to be at the forefront here, and Spirit clearly is encouraging that notion too. We also have number 37, which, by the way, reduces, that's the word, reduces down to number 10, which further reduces down to 1. So this is cyclical energy again. You know, things coming to an end and a new beginning starting. Shunned shaman, become self-aware. Again, this is very closely linked to the hermit energy and focusing on what it is that you want, right? And just sort of, you know, looking at your reality more closely, facing it head on, and facing your life about, you know, especially in terms of, is it the way that you actually want it to be, or is there maybe something that needs to, again, drastically change? Okay. Oh, and you have another dragon. So officially, the dragon is like the most important symbol here for you. So keep your eyes open for any dragons out there. I just randomly got, you know, you may have a dragon tattoo or something like that as well. But anyway, dragon seems to be important. We have number 13 reducing down to 4. Dragon load of dense shit. Time for an energy clearing. So this is the underlying energy, and it is obvious that you need to cleanse your energy. You know, obviously the energy that you are surrounded by or the situation is weighing heavily on you as well. As I said, it seems to be having a lot of influence on you, your surrounding energy. And so, yeah, you know, I feel like what Spirit is saying is that, you know, you really, I feel like there is some separation needed from these more like challenging energies or the things that have drained you, and also, you know, so that you could actually let go of this like fearful, anxious, past related energy, and actually start from like a new leaf, right? And focusing on what it is what is your actual dream? What is your actual vision for your life, for your future, right? And focusing on that, focusing on what makes you happy. So anyway, I'm going to leave it here. Wow, pile number 2. Honestly, I sincerely hope that this reading made sense to you, because I do have to admit, at times I was completely lost as I was doing this reading, and I was just, you know, trying to give you the messages as they came as clearly as possible. But yeah, I do apologize if this was somewhat difficult to follow, or if this was somewhat confusing for you as well. Hopefully, though, you could recognize something, and hopefully this reading was still, you know, encouraging or helpful to you. And if it was, I would really appreciate it if you would give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, subscribe, you know, that would be awesome too. And yeah, just let me know that this reading spoke to you in some way. That would mean so much to me. But I'm going to leave it here. So thank you so much for watching, if you are still watching this. And if I don't see you in any of the other piles, please take care of yourselves. I am wishing you all the best, and hopefully I'll see you very soon in my next one. Bye-bye. Hello, pile number 3, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the Mythos tarot as well as the rose quartz crystal. So we are going to be getting into those in just a bit, because first we're going to look at some oracle cards that are pre-prepared, and also some major arcana tarot cards. Now, if this is not your first time on this channel, then you may already sort of recognize this somewhat new system that I have. Now, we are going to first look at your energy and then we are going to look at the energy that is around you. So what sort of external influence is around you at this time? And then we are going to look at the situation or issue that is at the forefront of your mind at this time. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's see, what energy are you in? Could you please describe pile number 3's personal energy at this time? Pile number 3's personal energy at this time. We have the moon. I think I saw a glimpse of it as it almost turned over, but then it didn't. So yeah, the moon is first card out, but let's also look at what is the energy that is surrounding you. So the energy that is surrounding pile number 3. Interesting. We have the Wheel of Fortune that came out in reverse because I don't have any reversals in this deck. At the bottom of the deck, we have the Hierophant. Now, I'm not going to focus on this energy unless it comes out in the tarot afterwards. But yeah, just making a note that we have the Hierophant as the underlying energy here. Now, let's look at the Oracle cards before we dive into all of the cards. Okay, so we have Snake, the Sentinel with air energy. The first one is earth energy, determination and certainty. Oh, and there is a butterfly on this card as well at the back. So I'm just making a note of that. We have more air energy with riding lunar waves. Ride the rhythms of the moon to enchant. Oh, and you have moon. Okay, cool. So it says, ride the rhythms of the moon to enchant your creative efforts. Take cues from the lunar phase to cast art spells, gather materials, or arrange Kismet collaborations. Pour energy into projects as the moon waxes, complete projects with the waning phase, or bathe in lunar beams at any time for giddy inspiration and unhinged revelations. Okay, interesting. We also have the Forgotten, missed opportunities, fear of failure, and the Shark with the water element coming out. The Forgotten is earth element, so just pointing it out there. So pile number 3, let's dig into this whole reading. I'm going to start off with your energy, which is the moon. And the moon is a card of Pisces, but it can, it sometimes is associated with Cancer as well, just because the moon is the ruling planet of Cancer in astrology. But take it as it resonates. I'm just pointing out the zodiacal signs in case you can resonate with them some way. But if you don't, that's fine too. But the moon is telling me that at this time, you could be in a very hazy and uncertain energy, where it almost feels like everything seems to be a risk. Every step seems to be dangerous. Like there isn't any form of confirmation or consolation to be found. And it just seems scary, it feels like there isn't really anything to anything solid to hold on to or to get support from. So yeah, for some reason, and I'm just throwing it out there in case it, if it doesn't resonate with you, it doesn't resonate with you. But I am feeling a rather solitary energy, I have to be honest. There is something very lonely about this moon energy that I'm feeling right now. And I don't know why, because it doesn't necessarily mean loneliness. But for some reason with you, pile number 3, I do feel a sense of loneliness, a sense of isolation, or a sense of not having access to people, or feeling as though you don't have access to people or support systems or something like that. Now, another thing that I just noticed is because on the moon, there is an eclipse happening, and we actually just had a solar eclipse quite recently in the sign of Aries. And that was actually a super powerful one. And so, I'm sure that a lot of people felt it as well. But I just, because it caught my eye, I feel the need to say that around the 8th of April or around that time frame, you may have experienced something quite like dramatic or some sort of bigger shift that has sort of dragged you into this moon energy, or it may have had a very big impact on you and your well-being and your state of mind. And so, yeah, there is just some sort of like fogginess and haziness and things not really making sense and things not being super clear. But like more than anything, it just feels like there is a lot of fear surrounding you at this time, or at least that's what you seem to be feeling at this time. Now, the energy around you is the Wheel of Fortune, but it came out in reverse. The Wheel of Fortune is actually associated with the planet Jupiter, and so by extension it can also be tied to Sagittarius and Pisces because it rules both signs. But you know, the Wheel of Fortune is actually a very positive card, or it can be a very positive card, but as it's coming out in reverse, it's telling me that, you know, at this time, things may not be necessarily working out in your favor. And that could also be the reason why you are feeling this sense of like fear, anxiety, uncertainty, because, you know, you are not feeling the sense of support, or you're not feeling like, you know, spirit or the universe has your back, or like people around you have your back even. Or again, it could be that you are not currently really surrounded by that many people. You know, that maybe you are having to do things on your own, or, you know, you just feel like you can't really turn to anyone, or other people can't really help you with what it is that you are dealing with. So either way, it just feels like the energy around you is somewhat like inaccessible, or there are some sort of blockages that you are sort of dealing with when it comes to support. And also because the Wheel of Fortune, like I'm just showing it to you upright as well, the Wheel of Fortune is a card of, you know, cycles, and it is a card of movement and change. And it's very often change that isn't necessarily in your hands or in your control. But when it's coming out in reverse, this is more so talking about, you know, either change being slow or change being delayed, or again, like things happening that you are not necessarily happy about, you know, that don't seem to be forms of positive change for you. Or again, that things could be really, really slow, and what it is that you are trying to achieve is not really manifesting, or you're not really seeing results. So it just seems like, yeah, it seems like you are sort of on your own in a lot of ways, pile number 3. Now, it doesn't mean that you could necessarily be alone, like physically speaking, but I do feel like you are feeling very alone, especially emotionally speaking. Now, when we're looking at the issue or the situation that is at the forefront of your mind right now, that also seems to be very much in this sort of shifting and changing energy. You know, again, we at the center of the whole reading, we have lunar waves, or the moon's energy basically coming out very strongly here. And so I feel like, you know, the thoughts and the things that are occupying your mind at this time are very clearly like shifting as well, as your own sort of emotional well-being changes and shifts. Now, the interesting thing though is that I'm kind of seeing like a weird, there is some similarity actually between like this pile and pile number 2. So if you felt drawn to pile number 2, you may want to check that out as well, because just in the situation energy, it seems to be some form of like similar contrast that I'm picking up on. So on the one hand, you know, especially with this snake and with the sentinel energy, there is a lot of like potential, and there is a lot of determination, right? Like this card says, creativity and certainty and determination. But with the snake card, there is a sense of creativity as well. And with the moon energy, again, you know, you could be actually in a very like creative mindset right now, or creative space. So all of these emotions that you're experiencing, you know, you could possibly, it could be a very like good time for you to actually express those things through some form of like art or whatever sort of creative self-expression that you like. But yeah, there is almost this like knowing, this deep knowing, or again, this like untapped potential with the snake here, right? It's like there is something inside of you that is yearning to come out, and that I feel like you want to actually share as well, but it's not necessarily being like expressed in its fullness, at least, because of this sense of fear that I feel with the forgotten and the shark energy. You know, because this is talking about like fear of failure and missed opportunities, right? So this is feeling like you are afraid to share what it is that you are feeling, or almost like, you know, you don't want to take up space, you don't want to bother people, you don't want to even be seen by people. And as well with the shark energy here, like this is somewhat of an ominous energy, you know, that you feel something is constantly lurking in your mind, or you know, it's gnawing at you at the back of your mind, but it's not being expressed, it's not being brought to the surface. So it's very much hiding, you know, underneath the surface of the water. But it's there, right? And it's like, it's bringing about this like sense of this like niggling feeling, or this uncertainty. And so I feel like this whole situation, or what both of these cards are saying essentially, is fear and being afraid to open up, being afraid to be seen, being afraid to express yourself because of how other people may react. And yeah, it's like, you know that something needs to be said, and I feel like you feel it very strongly. Again, you know, it could even just be, as I said, like expressed in other forms as well, or through other forms. But it feels like there is this like going back and forth on whether you should express it, because you feel so strongly about it with the snake and the sentinel energy, that you know exactly, like there's something very strong, like a voice inside of you that is very strong. And I feel like it is actually your intuition, because of all of this super heavy moon energy. So I feel like your feelings and your gut reactions, and possibly even things that you are sort of receiving from your subconscious mind when you are sleeping, like those could be super, super meaningful. And they could be giving you a lot of clues as to like what you should do, or what the next step should be. But then I feel like your sort of rational mind kicks in and sort of starts like talking you out of this situation. And that's where this like confusion comes in, right? Where you don't feel like you know what to do, you don't know what's right, you don't know what's wrong. And it's like this seesaw energy. So yeah, I feel like, wow, I just feel like this is an emotional roller coaster, honestly, pile number 3. That's what I feel like you were dealing with. Now, again, you know, I'm not really picking up anything specific regarding what this thing is that you are sort of going back and forth on, whether this is like something to do with your work, or whether this is something to do with your family, whether this is something to do with like a relationship with your kids, with your hobbies, with your lifestyle, with your future visions, anything like that. Because as I said, this whole energy feels very like hidden, very submerged, very like out of reach almost. And so that's why I'm not really picking up other people's energy that much. Honestly, this feels like very, very heavily your energy, and being somewhat away from social circles, or, you know, and even if that's not the case physically, I just feel like emotionally there is a lot of distance, and again, somewhat of a lonely sensation that I'm picking up on. But anyway, if you can resonate with this sort of energy that is coming up, then definitely keep on watching, because we're going to look at the tarot portion now with the Mythos tarot, and we're going to look at what it is that you are actually manifesting. So yeah, I'm going to prepare the layout, and then we'll talk about all of the cards. Let's get into this pile number 3, because this is an interesting reading. Now, I want to start off with the underlying energy, which is the Ace of Swords in reverse. I'm going to show it to you upwards as well so that you could see the design of the card, what it actually looks like. But the Ace of Swords is all about like some sort of mental breakthrough, clarity, again, determination, and you know, like a very, either like some very firm truths or just a very firm like decision. Now, when the Ace of Swords comes out in reverse, it's not very, you know, that's when things get a lot more blurry and a lot more like confusing, and just, you know, that there isn't really a clear answer. And so that's why I feel like, because this energy is like summing up the whole theme or the whole reading basically, or what the situation is essentially. It's very clearly reflecting this sense of, you know, not having this firm principle to rely on, or this firm answer or solution, right? Like it's all very sort of wishy-washy. It's not very clear. And yeah, so I just feel like it's sort of mimicking or mirroring, I should say, the moon energy that you are in right now. So clearly there is a lot of like uncertainty and sort of going back and forth. But it's kind of interesting how this situation is going to be changing for you. So let's start from the top. We first have the Queen of Cups as the energy from the past, or of the past. And I very strongly feel that this is you, because the Queen of Cups is a card of Cancer, but it can also refer to any water sign. So this could be Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. And as we have already established, there is quite a lot of like watery energy here with the moon, and then we had the shark, and then we had some more moon energy, right? So there is this like emotional, very heavy emotional energy here. And I do feel like this is just saying that, you know, the past energy is reflecting how, you know, your emotional state has sort of come very much to the front or to the surface, and it has very much ruled like your emotions or your actions, because the Queen of Cups makes decisions from her heart and from her intuition, what she feels is right, what she feels called to do. So yeah, it's just very like beautiful, vulnerable, you know, emotionally invested or just emotionally receptive energy, and being like a very nurturing energy as well. So this could indicate that, you know, not only this is this talking about something that is like in an emotional sense very important to you, right? With the snake and the sentinel energy, like something that you know is true for you, or something that you feel rather strongly about. But this could also mean that, you know, you have had this nurturing energy towards someone else or towards other people, and maybe turn that nurturing energy more so towards other people, like outside of you. But it just feels, you know, regardless of how this resonates, it feels like very much emotionally you have been directed or guided by your emotions, and you've been like a very almost like an open book in a way, and just a very soft and very like safe presence. Yeah, there's just something very sweet that I feel with the Queen of Cups. Now, looking at the present energy, we have the Knight of Cups. So I actually feel like this is speaking of your energy as well. And the reason why I feel that is because, you know, when the Queen of Cups is focused on her cup and what it is that she feels and what it is that is important to her, the Knight of Cups is the one who takes action regarding like what is important to him, or he like goes after his vision, because as one of the knights, he is also the embodiment of movement, right, of progress. And so I feel like, you know, this is almost making me feel that you are like wanting to make some steps, and maybe you are even taking some physical steps as well towards what it is that you want to express, or what you feel so clearly that is true for you. What is your truth? And I feel like, you know, there is an aspect of you that is like trying to voice it somehow, but then there is another aspect that is like, you know, pulling you back or doing something counterproductive to that. So again, you know, and I love that there is this like, you know, there is this dual depiction of the Knight of Cups as well, because even in the like the traditional Rider-Waite Smith, the Knight of Cups is shown as, you know, the horse that the knight is on is like hesitant. It has its leg up, so it's hesitant whether it should actually continue on and cross that like stream of water, whatever, or whether it should stay where it is. And so, yeah, there is a certain level of like hesitation that I'm definitely picking up on here. But I do feel like, you know, you are very much driven by this emotional connection that you have to something. So again, I do feel like this is this potential that the snake card is talking about, something that you want to make manifest, something that you want to bring to the physical realm. Again, most likely it's something to do with like your creativity of what you want to express, what you want to create, what you want to produce, what you want to bring into the world. Like, it's something to do with that, I feel like. But now moving on to the near future, which is like around the next 3 months or so, we have the Three of Swords coming out. And I know that the Three of Swords is like usually, again, a rather scary card for people. But I'm actually feeling more so like, you know, that this is some sort of like a tough lesson or some sort of disappointment. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like this whole tragic thing about like heartbreak and pain and sorrow and all of that. It's much more, what I feel like in this instance, it's much more to do with just sort of like feeling let down. And this could also be feeling let down by yourself. Just sort of having like this realization of, you know, some sort of situation that you're going through that is very difficult to endure, or that is like testing you and, you know, making you ultimately learn a valuable lesson, but just that lesson could be unpleasant to go through. Yeah, you know, the Three Swords, this is the sword suit, so it is actually to do, or it has to do with your mind, your intellect, your thoughts, and your beliefs, and your perspective on the world. And threes are all about development and growth and, again, progression. And so it's clear that in the next 3 months, there is something that is going to alter the way that you think, or it's going to be like this lesson or this growing point in your perspective. But it could be somewhat uncomfortable or somewhat painful. So I'm going to clarify this card afterwards as well to see what else we can find out about this. But I don't want you to worry, because as I said, I'm not really feeling it as dramatically as like the usual Three of Swords, but we'll see what comes out. So we also have the Nine of Coins as your surrounding energies. And the Nine of Coins is very much like, it's an energy of like comfort and stability, but it can also very quickly turn to boredom, or just like, you know, things sort of being like not very stimulating, you know, because it's like same shit, different day, that type of thing, you know. And I mean, normally the Nine of Coins is actually really good. It's a really good card because it does indicate that there is, again, there is safety, there is security, there is stability, there is independence. But again, you know, because the Nine of Coins can very often indicate like somewhat of a solitary energy, you know, that you are in a very like solid space or something like that, but then there isn't necessarily anyone around you. It makes me feel that like things around you could be somewhat like stale, or there isn't that much movement. And it's not that things are necessarily like bad, or, you know, it doesn't feel like that, because the Nine of Coins, as I said, it feels like all of your like physical needs are being met and you are in a secure space in that way. But it just feels like you aren't really having a lot of support, or again, that you are having to do things by yourself and there isn't really, again, that much input from other people around you. Now, we also have the 8 of Coins coming through, and this card is speaking about your attitude to the situation. And the 8 of Coins is actually, again, very determined. So we had this keyword of determination coming out already, but this feels like you're very determined and you have a very clear focus on like wanting to work on the situation or wanting to improve on like in the situation, because the 8 of Coins is not afraid of hard work. The 8 of Coins is very determined, very focused, very much invested in what it is that they want to create. Actually, I just noticed that there are some butterflies on this card again, and we had the butterfly symbol on the back of this card as well. So clearly, you know, I do feel like what you are focused on is like a certain transformation of your life, you know, wanting to bring about change, wanting to, you know, manifest a new reality for yourself, right? And again, it seems like this is something to do with you making something, or you expressing something, or you know, creating whatever it is that you want to create. And I feel like at this time you could also be like putting your time into either like perfecting your skills or learning something new, or just like enhancing what it is that you have already studied and learned, and making sure that you are honing your skills or your craft or your abilities, like that type of thing. You seem to be very focused on that, like focused on self-improvement. But now what I find interesting is that the outcome energy is coming out as the Empress in reverse. This is a card of major arcana and it is a card of Venus. So, you know, it could be associated with Taurus or Libra. But because it's coming out in reverse, it just seems like there is something that you are going to like stop nurturing or putting energy into. Because the Empress is like normally a very creative, a very abundant, a very nurturing energy, you know, offering a lot of herself to others and to create like a very lush and comfortable environment. But when it's coming out in reverse, there is a feeling of like, you know, not really wanting to do that, or not feeling, you know, you have it in you or something like that. So it does seem like there is a bit of a change in like attitude. Yeah, I almost feel like there is a bit of a hardening that is happening with the Empress in reverse, and I don't feel it in like a bad way at all. This almost feels like you choosing yourself or something like that, or maybe even like turning your focus more from the sort of the feminine energy and the very emotional energy towards more so the masculine. So it's making me actually think of like the Emperor card for some reason. But again, we're going to clarify it later. But what I love the most about this reading is actually the answer to your question. So what it is that you are manifesting in your life. And you've got the Wheel of Fortune again, only this time it's coming out upright. And so this is telling me that you are actually manifesting a change. There is shift that is going to be coming around. And this is a very positive shift, because the Wheel of Fortune upright brings lucky breakthroughs, brings serendipity, brings just sort of good or lucky opportunities coming your way, and things sort of becoming more easy and in flow again. And so, you know, again, this is Jupiterian energy. This is abundance. This is fortune. This is like sort of life like working out for you, right? Things being enhanced or developed, grown bigger, that type of thing. And again, because we're getting this major arcana energy, it feels like it's something that is meant to happen. And I feel like the universe is sort of stepping in to like help you as well with that. But it just feels like before all of that can happen, there are some sort of lessons that need to be learned. And I feel like there is this like toughening up that needs to happen. And that's exactly what you're going to be experiencing. And again, I don't mean to like freak you out or anything. I just feel like you are going to be experiencing some situations that maybe you haven't like ever had really too much experience with, or that, you know, you just may feel somewhat uncomfortable in. But I feel like ultimately, looking back, you're going to be really, really happy and grateful that you went through this journey and that you went through these experiences, because I feel like they're going to teach you so much and sort of prepare you exactly, like prepare you for what it is that you need when things like finally start moving and start like turning around for your benefit and in your favor, right? Because I feel like things are going to actually like speed up quite a lot, and yeah, it may like otherwise like take you by surprise. So there is this like preparation that needs to happen. But I do want to look at what this Three of Swords is first and foremost. Let's start with that. Three of Swords in the near future, in the next 3 months or so. What is this Three of Swords in the near future for pile number 3? Okay, thank you. Interesting. We have the Seven of Swords coming out in reverse and Justice coming out in reverse. Okay. Interesting. So, you know, with the Seven of Swords coming out in reverse, it sort of feels like either like a strategy or something that you have been like working on or considering is like not going to go according to plan, or there is going to be some sort of like blow up with it. Or yeah, it just feels like unwanted results or consequences. Yeah, it kind of feels like unwanted consequences, because we also have, oh interesting, the Wheel of Fortune is reversed here too. We also have the Justice card coming out in reverse, which is a card of Libra. And Justice in reverse is again like, because Justice in and of itself is a card of like cause and effect, of like actions having consequences. And so when it's coming out in reverse, it just feels like there is some sort of either like decision or some sort of result or consequence that you're going to have to deal with that isn't really, you know, that isn't really what you had hoped, or it's not really making you happy. Again, with this like sense of disappointment. But as I said, it feels a lot more like technical and a lot more cerebral, you know, so it's not that heavily emotionally involved, this Three of Swords or this disappointment. It's much more to do with like, again, some sort of plan or some sort of strategy not working out, or just like possibly you even learning some information that like takes you aback some way, or again is disappointing regarding like some sort of sneaky strategy or some sort of like information that had been concealed from you previously, so that could be coming to light. But I just feel like, yeah, like there is some sort of disappointing information that you're going to be receiving that is going to, again, bring about a situation that you are not necessarily happy with, or the results are not what you had hoped that they would be. Yeah, I also want to look at the Empress in reverse. Could you please clarify the Empress in reverse in the outcome? Oh, sorry. This just hit me, so I'm going to say it before I continue. With the Seven of Swords in reverse, it could also be that, you know, something that you were possibly, you know, trying to avoid. It could also be like a confrontation of some sort, or like a conversation because of the shock and the forgotten energy, right? Where I was talking about like being afraid of expressing something or saying something. It could be that like that is what is going to be sort of revealed or coming to light anyway. And so that is what is causing this like disappointment or unhappiness. Yeah, because between the Three and the Seven of Swords, there is an energy of the Four of Swords. And the Four of Swords is all about like, you know, mental respite, or like taking yourself out of a situation, or just, you know, again, it's almost this like quiet standstill energy. And so I feel like it could have to do with like you either avoiding something or concealing some information and not opening up about it. And I feel like that could be something that like is basically unavoidable in the end. And the only reason I'm saying that is because of the moon energy that you seem to be so heavily in. And as I said, with the moon energy comes a lot of like secrecy and hidden details or hidden information, not, you know, being very clear on things. So that is also what could be, what the Seven of Swords could be referring to. But let's keep going with the Empress in reverse for pile number 3. Okay, thank you. Oh, interesting. Yeah, we have the Seven of Wands coming out, and then we also have the Nine of Coins coming out in reverse, which is the surrounding energy that you have, but here it's obviously upright. So, yeah, as I said, it seems like you are breaking out of some sort of like status quo, some sort of like safety, or some sort of safe environment that has also like somewhat held you back as well. And with the Seven of Wands, it just feels like, again, this just feels to me like some sort of like rebelling, right? That you are rebelling towards, or against, I should say, the life and the reality that you have led up to this point. And it just feels like you're sort of sick of it, and you are sort of standing up for yourself again, right? Because the Empress, as I said, this feels like you are starting to like turn your focus on you more so, and then toughening up, as I said, like this, and this to me definitely feels like a toughening up, you know? So it could also mean that, you know, you may have to like stand up for yourself at some point, or you may actually have to not be afraid to express what it is that you are feeling, or express your truth. And so right now, even though I feel like there isn't that much like combativeness to you, or there is a lot of like, again, a lot of like hesitation, but I do feel like there is, that is about to change with the Seven of Wands here, you know, that you are starting to gain more like belief in yourself, and taking a stand against what it is that you are not necessarily happy with. But let's look at the Wheel of Fortune as well quickly, and then we'll move on to advice. So Wheel of Fortune. What is this Wheel of Fortune that pile number 3 is manifesting? Could you please clarify the Wheel of Fortune? Could you clarify the Wheel of Fortune that pile number 3 is manifesting? Oh, interesting. Okay, we have the King of Swords in reverse, and we have the Queen of Pentacles as the underlying energy. So this is Capricornian energy, and then the King of Swords is Aquarian energy. Sorry, I couldn't think of it. So, but yeah, it's kind of interesting though, because it seems like, yeah, with the King of Swords, the thing that is changing is like, you could have some sort of like breakthrough when it comes to, again, like uncertainty or not feeling very confident with the King of Swords in reverse. Or this could also be some sort of like, either like some sort of rules or regulations that have stopped you from voicing what it is that you want to voice, or doing what it is that you want to do. So there could be like some sort of positive change in like those being either overthrown or overturned or something like that. It could also be that someone who has been like, if this is a certain individual, this could be that someone who has been like sort of trying to make life more difficult for you, or who has been like throwing obstacles on your path, or saying a lot of no to you regarding something, or just, having like a very firm grip and almost like a slightly like tyrannical attitude towards you, right? So basically this just feels like something that has been a no, or something that has been a challenge and an obstacle is going to be turned over with this Wheel of Fortune. And so, it's almost like you are getting a green flag, or a green light to proceed with something, so yeah, it just feels like things are sort of starting to become more easy for you. And again, with the Queen of Pentacles here, it's becoming more easy for you to like actually like nurture your dream, or focus on what it is that you want to grow and develop. So, you know, especially if this is some sort of like business idea that you have, or just like a life path that is completely different from the life path that your siblings have chosen, or that your parents wanted for you, or something like that, that your family is like a part of. It could be that, you know, yeah, it could be that you are, yeah, it seems that that is changing, basically. That's the easiest way to say it. So, wow, okay. Very interesting reading, pile number 3, I have to say, but we're not done quite yet. I'm just going to close the reading out with some advice as well from the Naughty Oracle. Now, I do want to sort of give you a heads up that this is quite a rude oracle deck at times, and so please don't take this too seriously. These advice cards from Spirit are going to be just something to like sort of more playfully end the reading with, and hopefully something that will give you like still, you know, very solid advice, but just in a more so like a playful tone. But let's see what we get. So what sort of advice do you have for pile number 3 regarding their reading? What sort of advice do you have for pile number 3 regarding their reading? Okay, interesting. We have number 40 reducing down to 4, which is a number of stability. Unicorn shit fight. Ground yourself now. Okay, so yeah, it's clear that there needs to be, you know, some sort of calming or steadying force at play right now, because as I said, there is a lot of emotional energy that is ruling this whole reading. And it seems to be very much at the forefront and affecting you quite a lot. And so, yeah, grounding is a very good advice or piece of advice. So however you like to ground, whether that is in nature, whether that is, you know, eating really wholesome, healthy foods, whether that is exercising or doing yoga or dancing or anything like that, just sort of taking yourself back into your body and into the present moment. That seems to be a very good one. Now, at the bottom of the deck, we have number 33, pull your head in, show more compassion and gratitude. And so, yeah, it seems like, I feel like this is again more so targeted at like needing to have compassion towards yourself, because you may be like beating yourself up quite a lot over like the things that are making you afraid, or the things that you are not saying, and sort of all of this back and forth energy. But obviously this is a learning curve for you, or a bit of a journey that you are going through that is going to spiritually be very, very helpful and develop you a lot and help you grow a lot. So yeah, just take your time. But let's see what else. What other piece of advice can we get for pile number 3 regarding their reading? Okay. Oh yeah, and see, isn't this like just the perfect piece of advice? We have number 15, which reduces down to 6, which is a number of harmony. Exhausted eagle, seek support. Exactly, like that's why, I don't know, it just feels like you are very alone in this, and it feels like you know, like you're not really turning to anyone, or like no one is really there to help you through this. And so I feel like this is actually such a good suggestion. And especially like, I understand, you know, if you are more so, let's say, of an introverted person, or someone who doesn't have a very large social group, or doesn't have that many friends, or you feel uncomfortable like opening up. I absolutely understand that, but just, you know, finding ways to like get support in a way that makes you feel good. You know, even if that means like turning to some sort of professional, if you don't have anyone in your life that you feel you can trust or you can open up to, or even like starting a journal or something like that, that may help you like express yourself more easily as well, or just get your feelings out. But definitely support seems to be a key word here. And we have number 34 as the underlying, which reduces down to 7, which is the energy of like needing to hold on and sort of face the obstacles or face the changes. Shitful shadow side. Balance your good, bad, and ugly. So yeah, I mean, it's clear that you are going through some sort of a shadowy period with this moon energy, you know, and that again, it feels like you are very much aware of like who you are truly at your core, or what you want to do, what you want to say, what you want to express, or who you want to be. All of that seems to be actually very like concretely or very solidly in you, but it just seems like it's just a matter of actually like owning it and expressing it outwards as well, you know? So, wow, pile number 3, I am going to leave it here because I have been talking for such a long time, and I do apologize that this reading was so long. It wasn't my intention at all, but you know, sometimes these things just go that way. So if you are still here, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. You have no idea. And I hope that you will leave me like a thumbs up or a like or a comment in the comment section, just letting me know that this reading resonated with you and that you got some support from this. It would really mean so much to me. But yeah, if I don't see you in any of the other piles, please take care of yourselves, and I hope to see you very soon in one of my next readings. Bye-bye. Hello, pile number 4, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the Disney Villains Tarot as well as the Pyrite Stone. So we are going to be looking at those in just a bit. We are first going to turn our focus to some major Arcana tarot cards as well as some pre-prepared Oracle cards. Now, if you are not new to my channel, then you may be familiar with this system that I have, which is that we're going to lay a nice little foundation for the reading with first looking at your energy at this time, the energy that is around you, and then also the situation or issue that is at the forefront of your mind at this time through these Oracle cards. So let's begin. Let's see what is your personal energy at this time, pile number 4. Okay, we had something turn around. Okay, beautiful. We have the Empress, and let's see what sort of energy is around you. What sort of energy is around pile number 4 as their external influence? And we have the Star. Okay, nice. At the bottom of the deck, we have the Hanged Man, which I'm just going to show you. But unless this comes out in the reading afterwards, I'm not really going to focus on it. But yeah, we have the Hanged Man. So, okay. We're going to talk about these cards in a second. We're just going to get the Oracle cards out too. Okay, so we're starting out with Starfish. We also have the Cartographer with a Crossroads Exploration. We also have Elementally, we have Water and we have Air. Oh, okay. We also have another Air element card with Weave a Healing Spell. And there is a spider with a needle and some thread as well. And this says, wind the threads of life and dream up a healing tapestry. Sing your prayers into ribbons, soothe frayed strands with your care and knit new possibilities. Call on the ancient qualities of the cloth and fiber arts to assist you in this spinning spell. It is time to weave a new fate. Okay, interesting. We also have the Warrior with some more air energy, perfectionism, burnout, and finally some more water with the Octopus. Okay, pile number 4. Wow. Let's get into this because there is quite a lot to unpack and this feels really, really fascinating. So we're starting off with the Empress. Now this is coming out as your energy at this time, and this is a card of Venus. So this can this can be tied to the signs Taurus and Libra. So I'm just pointing out the signs in case you resonate with them somehow, you recognize them within you, within someone else around you. So the Empress is a super attractive, a very magnetic, a very confident, and a very powerful presence. So at this time, it almost feels like you are glowing, pile number 4. It just feels like you are on fire, like you are, you know, beaming as a light, you are shining bright, you are, you know, catching a lot of attention as well. And yeah, it just seems like you are effortlessly creating what you need to create, and you are expressing yourself very eloquently. You are coming across as someone who is like very self-assured, very like, you know, sure of themselves, who knows their value, who has a lot of self-worth and a lot of like presence. And I just feel like, you know, again, it just seems like there are a lot of eyes on you at this time, and people are like looking at you, people are admiring you, people are interested in you, and it's all like well and good. And I almost even feel like, you know, there is a lot of you that is like, you know, drinking it up, that is just reveling in it, that is enjoying it. But then, you know, there is also like a darker side to this, I feel like, and we're going to talk about it in a second, but it just feels like you are very much at the center of attention, or at the center of some spotlight right now. And it also feels like, you know, you could have gone through some sort of like physical changes as well in your appearance or something like that. Possibly you have started putting a lot of effort into, or a lot of focus on your like physical well-being, yes, but also like the way that you look, right? So you could have started going to the gym, or just working out, doing yoga, or some other form of exercise that you like, eating more healthy, taking care of your hair, your skin, your nails, all of that type of thing. Like, it just feels like you are taking care of you. And I feel like it's very much showing, you know? Like, people are clearly responding to that. And there is a lot of this, like, again, magnetism or sex appeal that I feel like is oozing out of you. But the interesting thing is, and I have to admit, I don't think I've ever actually felt that with the star card energy, which is surrounding you. But I am feeling it for you, pile number 4. I mean, I'm not saying that that's the case for all of you, but I definitely feel like for some of you, this star card energy, which is a card of Aquarius, by the way, this is making me feel of like fame, or somehow like being in the public eye, being recognized, or again, being in the spotlight. Now, I mean, usually like in tarot, the sun card would be like the fame card, or, you know, being famous or being in the spotlight. But I don't know why I'm feeling like this is like the star card is that for you. You know, it's almost like, it seems like people are sort of gravitating towards you and looking for some sort of like validation and comfort and inspiration from you. They may be turning to you for some guidance, for some advice, or just generally like wanting to be more like you, or wanting to be like around you and in your social circle, or in your presence somehow. You know, this is very, very like very heavily drawing in energy that I'm picking up on. You know, it's almost like, because the star card is a card of hope, it's almost like you could be giving hope to people, or like you being the way that you are could, you know, people could respond to that in a way that, you know, they see you as someone that they want to aspire to, or because you are doing something so effortlessly, and, you know, obviously you are shining because of it, they feel like they can do it too. So, you know, there is this like this inspirational quality, whereas like you are almost like a muse to people. It could also be that you are, you know, someone who has like a public presence, or someone who has a following. You could be like successful on social media, or you could have some sort of like your own creative thing that you do, where people are able to like follow what you do and engage with what it is that you do. Or you could actually even have like some sort of public presence, or you could be famous in some sort of, even if it's like your local community, or at your school, whatever, if you still go to school, or at your workplace, maybe you're like this big shot person at your career that people are looking up to and admiring, and almost like even envying. But yeah, with the Star, it just feels like there is something so like special about you, or something so attention grabbing. And as I said, even though it feels like you are very much like enjoying that, and you are upholding this role miraculously or really, really well, there is also this darker side of this. And I do feel like that the darker side of this is that, there is a lot of like expectations that I feel like people have towards you, that you feel this inner pressure to live up to. But also I feel like, especially with these two cards, I have to say, with the octopus energy specifically, this feels very intrusive, and this is specifically talking about a lack of boundaries. So you could be feeling like your life is not your own anymore, like you belong to other people, and your life is like a spectacle for other people, and there is no privacy. It's almost like this whole this glory and this luxury and this and all of this like ego stroking that goes along with being admired, or being in the public eye, or being recognized in some way. As good as that may feel, there is also that sense of, I have nowhere to hide. Whatever I do, people are always going to find out. People are always going to be up in my business. And like, it just feels like this octopus energy is so like, is holding on so tightly, or even like it feels like strangling almost. And with the warrior as well, like as I said, it seems like you are taking this very seriously, and you are doing your best to be as perfect as you possibly can, and live up to these expectations as you possibly can, to fulfill the role that you are in. But I feel like there is also, again, as it says, there is the element of burnout, right? Feeling like it's all too much, feeling like you are giving way too much of yourself in order not to let people down. And I feel like it's starting to get to you, pile number 4. And I mean, I know that I've been talking about a public presence and some sort of like fame or all that, but it doesn't have to be quite as dramatic for you. It could be also that you are just, someone who, because of your presence, is bringing in a lot of people. Like you could have a lot of friends or a lot of acquaintances, just like a big social network, or this could be even just you in your family dynamic, sort of being the one that your family members look up to or rely on in some sense, or have very, very high hopes for, or something like that. It just feels like, whether this is actually being like in the public eye on a larger scale, or whether this is you being in the spotlight in your own sort of everyday life scenarios, or in your relationship dynamics that you have in your personal life, it just feels too much. And so I kind of feel like especially with the starfish energy too, this is specifically talking about like uniqueness and beauty, but also like an aspect of feeling like there is a shallow aspect to it as well, or almost like that is not enough, that it's starting to become too one-sided. And so that's why I feel like this cartographer card is here as well, with like exploration and a crossroads. It could feel like you are wanting to actually weave a new life for yourself, or create a new story with this weave a healing spell. It may actually indicate that you are thinking very heavily about changing your life or doing something differently. But at the same time, there is this hesitation of like, okay, but if I change something, if I choose another direction or a new path, am I giving up on like all of these good things and all of these accolades that I'm getting through, you know, being in this position. So I feel like there's a lot of like going back and forth in that sense, or having some sort of like hesitation, being excited and wanting to try something new, because again, with the starfish, it just feels like the things that used to sort of be enough for you are possibly not enough for you anymore, and maybe even are starting to be more of a drain on your energy. But yeah, and that means that, you know, with this cartographer card, that there is a side to you that is very excited about the notion of, you know, carving a new life for yourself, or getting a new reality, or sort of changing something about your identity, or changing your life, or maybe even like, you know, uprooting your life, moving to a new country, or, you know, doing something quite radical like that. That could be a possibility, like traveling, especially because of this cartographer card. But, you know, just on a smaller scale, it feels like you are just sort of starting to wonder about the possibilities of what else is there, or how you could possibly get out of this situation, which is starting to, I feel like, become more and more like restrictive or limiting, or it's like almost like the walls are starting to close in on you, because of like the availability that people have to you, you know? So yeah, that's what I'm feeling for you. And this does not feel like a regular reading by any means. I don't think I've felt this sort of energy in a very long time, if ever, in my readings. So I'm not sure how much this is going to like resonate with people out there. But if this spoke to you, if you could recognize this, then yeah, keep on watching, because we're going to look at what it is that you are actually manifesting in your life. So I'm going to prepare the cards, put them all out on the table in a layout, and then we will go through the reading. So pile number 4, I am actually loving your reading. So let's just jump straight in. So I want to start with the underlying energy first, which is the 6 of Swords. Now, the underlying energy, at least the way that I read tarot, is the sort of energy that like sums up the whole reading, or there is it's like the gist of the whole thing, but in a very broad sense. So with the 6 of Swords, I'm feeling like this whole reading is talking about you starting to move away from the sort of the current reality of your life and the current role that you are in, and like everything that is like demanded of you, or expected of you. And I feel like you are starting to move in another direction that would like sort of leave that stress or leave that tension behind, to make things easier for yourself. You're starting to, you know, your focus is on like simplifying your life for yourself and getting away from this like very heavy and tense energy. Because in essence, you know, the 6 of Swords is all about leaving behind the 5 of Swords, the energy of the 5 of Swords, right? And so the 6 of Swords is by no means like an easy transition. This is not an easy card, because it does involve a certain level of sacrifice. But I do feel like for the sake of your peace of mind, and for the sake of you being able to like shake yourself free from, again, the certain like limitations and the walls that have been closing in, I feel like that's like much more important in this instance. So yeah, and I'm not saying, you know, that you are leaving your life behind completely and starting from scratch. But I just feel like the 6 of Swords is saying that you are starting to transition from what your life is now towards something that is a bit more calm, a bit more harmonious, a bit more steady. You know, something that wouldn't be quite so demanding. But let's go through the cards one by one. So we're starting off with the Death card. The Death card is a very punchy card, and a lot of people are afraid of the Death card, even though in actuality it is a really good card. It's nothing to be scared of. But what this is saying, because it's representing the past for you, what this is saying is that in the past there has been a really, really transformative shift. Like, basically, I feel like that was the point where like your life started becoming what it is now. So, you know, it could indicate like some sort of like breakthrough moment, or where you left something behind in order to pursue the role that you are in now. Again, so, you know, if this is career related or something like that, this may have meant that you, I don't know, uprooted your life. Then maybe you left your home city, your hometown, your home country, and relocated somewhere else so that you could pursue this dream or this career goal that you have. Or, you know, maybe you just quit your previous job and decided to take up like a blog or become self-employed or try something completely different. Whatever this is, this Death card is just indicating that a massive, massive shift took place in your past, like within the past few years or so. And with that sort of ultimate like change, or letting an old form of being go and stepping into a new life, I feel like, you know, that is almost like where the whole thing started. And I feel like that is also what has led you to this energy now. And I was actually kind of like baffled that we got the Six of Wands in the present energy, because it's like, it's the perfect card. And it's just like a confirmation for me as a reader that this energy of like being in the public eye, or, you know, with the Star card energy coming through so heavily as like being admired or being recognized and being looked up to, you know, getting that confirmation through the Six of Wands was just, it's just such a nice feeling. But anyway, with the Six of Wands, it's clear that at this time you are very much like in some sort of a power position where people are looking at you as this successful and accomplished and super, you know, talented, or, you know, just someone who is really, really good at what they do, or someone who again is really beautiful or stands out in some way. Like the Six of Wands is a card of victory. It's a card of recognition and rewards for all of the work that you've done. So this is kind of like standing out from the crowd, and people like actually acknowledging you for the things that you have done, for the things that you have achieved, and for who you are. And so, yeah, obviously there is something about you that is clearly drawing in a lot of attention, and that people are responding to, and, you know, like applauding you for. The thing that is interesting though is the Hermit card, and it came out in reverse. So the Hermit is a card of Virgo. I'm going to show it to you upwards as well, or upright, so you could see it better. But the Hermit is a card of Virgo, and it very often symbolizes a period of like isolation or detachment, and sort of turning your focus and gaze inwards and shutting out all of the distractions around you. But because the Hermit is coming out in reverse, and I don't want to like scare you or anything, but I do feel like within the next 3 months or so, the situation that you are in right now, it could get even worse, where you feel like, you know, people are even more intrusive and even like less respectful of boundaries. Because when the Hermit comes out in reverse, it's almost like you don't have the chance or the possibility to like turn yourself off, or, you know, detach yourself or pull the cord from the wall. You know, you don't have the luxury of like shutting down and just like switching everything off and getting out of the whole social scene and really like just being alone by yourself and focusing on you and focusing on like looking after your own needs, taking care of yourself and your mental health and all of that. It seems like that isn't really a possibility. And we are going to clarify this card as well But it just seems like there is something that is going to be like intruding or getting in the way of that. And so it almost feels like that could be like the catalyst that is like finally going to like push you off the edge or over the edge to actually start changing something. Now, the other thing that I feel that I don't actually really like is this Ace of Coins in reverse. And this card is talking about the energy that is around you. And the Ace of Coins in reverse in this instance is just making me feel like super greedy and just like this energy of taking and not giving anything back in return. I'm not saying that, you know, you're completely being taken advantage of or something like that, but it just feels like what people are taking from you, all of the energy and everything that, like, you know, it feels like people want a lot from you, you know, but they are not actually investing anything back. The only thing that people are giving you back is like this admiration or these compliments or, yeah, it just feels like they are like shallow words, really. And I mean, even though they are coming from like obviously a sincere place and people are actually like most likely meaning what they say to you, right? Like it's not coming from just like a completely nonsensical place, but this just feels like you are being drained, like your energy is being taken and nothing is being given back. And so that's why I'm not really a fan of the energy, because it doesn't seem like you are actually being supported in any way, you know? Like, yeah, that's what it feels like. And it seems like you are kind of very acutely aware of this as well, because your attitude came out as the Three of Coins in reverse. And the Three of Coins in reverse is basically saying that you don't really feel like you want to invest in this situation anymore. You don't want to build upon the foundation as it is right now, because I feel like you very strongly feel this sort of like energy vampirism that is almost happening, or where, like, again, as I said, it feels like you are public property, or like you belong to other people. And yeah, it just feels like you are starting to realize that that's not really what you want, that it's not actually, again, the foundation that you want to build upon for the future. And so this is basically saying that you are unwilling to invest further into this like situation. And because the Three of Coins is a card of like collaboration with other people, and obviously this energy dynamic that you are in is a collaboration with people, you know, this is saying that you don't really want to do that anymore. And of course, this could be indicating a specific like collaboration that you have with specific people as well. But just in a broader sense, it feels like you are wanting an out. And that's why I love like the outcome energy, because we are getting the Two of Coins. And the Two of Coins is telling me that where the situation is heading is like basically that you are starting to play around with some sort of alternative idea or alternative goal. Because, and again, I mean, because we have these two coins, so it's saying that you are not abandoning the first one. You are not completely like letting it go. At least that's what I'm reading from the cards. Obviously, everything is up to you. You have free will. You can do what you want to do with these messages. And obviously, your actions at the end of the day are what matter. But basically, yeah, the way that I'm feeling this card is that you are starting to like, yeah, just sort of toy with a new idea or a new concept or a new endeavor, right? And because this is the coin suit, this is most likely something that is like physical or material. So there could be like a side hustle thing that you are starting to take up, or just something that you feel like you want to put your energy more like into more. Or even if it's like not like a side hustle thing or something like that, it could be that you are starting to prioritize like your own well-being as well, and starting to manage your time and your sort of energetic investment in a way that allows you to spend or make more time for the things that actually you care about and that you want to do and that are important to you and your own well-being. And then that means like possibly scaling back on the time and the resources that you invest into this role that you are currently in with the Empress, right? So this is just sort of like basically about striking a balance and getting this getting the situation under control, starting to even it out a bit, which I'm very, very happy about. And like the main card here, the King of Swords, which is actually the answer to the question, what it is that you're actually manifesting, is making me think of boundaries, is making me think of like actual like structure or authority, and almost like putting your foot down. So this is very masculine energy, and it doesn't mean that you have to, you know, it's not referring to gender in any way. And even with the Empress, you know, this is not saying that you have to be female. It's just about feminine energy. And so with the King of Swords though, this is where the shift is happening, where you step more so into this like more dominant, more authoritative, and more so establishing stronger boundaries, making it heard and making it very clear what is okay with you and what isn't okay with you. Like standing up for what you believe in, standing up for what you believe to be right, and just standing by your opinions, your beliefs, your values, and not being afraid to do that, not being afraid to voice them, because we're dealing with the sword suit. So this is all about like actual verbal expression, communication. This is about like thoughts and concepts being like materialized into the real world by speaking or speaking them or making them known in some other way. So I just feel like you are starting to lay down some laws. You are starting to create some clear like rules or boundaries. First and foremost, I feel like to yourself, so that you could actually know or have some sort of a more steady leg to stand on. But then ultimately, I feel like that is what you're going to express to your audience as well. You know, some form of like standing up for what you feel like you need to do. Right? So again, this is this like beautiful energy of taking more charge of the situation and creating an environment that is more suited to you. Again, with the Six of Swords, right? Like transitioning slowly into a more harmonious way of living. But I quickly want to clarify a few things. As I said, I definitely want to look into the Hermit. That is like the biggest thing that I want to look at, because everything else feels rather clear. But the Hermit in reverse in the next 3 months, so in the near future, for pile number 4. Okay, interesting. We are having we're getting the Temperance energy at the bottom of the deck here, with the Four of Wands. So it is feeling to me like, like some sort of, either like some sort of celebrations or some sort of events or things like that that are taking up a lot of your time. Or again, like public occurrences, or again, you know, if you're not necessarily on like a public arena or something, this just feels like, you know, you having a lot of, again, events, like celebrations or social gatherings that you sort of need to show up at, or you need to be a part of. And yeah, this could have to do with like your family or your community or your friends, or again, your company or whatever. But it just feels like there are some social events that are going to be taking up a lot of your time. And again, where like you are surrounded by a lot of people, that is making it very difficult for you to actually like take the time out for yourself. Especially like with this Temperance card again, it just feels like you are constantly like shifting and moving around, and you know, situations constantly like morphing into something, like a new thing, and then a new thing, and then another thing. And it's just, it seems to be like this constant flow. So as I said, it almost feels like in the next 3 months, it could be getting a bit worse for you. So I just want you to be prepared for that. And because the Four of Wands is coming out upright, so it's not like you're not going to be having fun, or you're not, it's not saying that you're not going to be enjoying those things at all. It just feels like some much needed self-care is probably going to be delayed. I want actually one more card for the Hermit in reverse. Can I get one more card to clarify the Hermit? Yeah, exactly. So I guess that's really it. Yeah, exactly. Sorry, getting tongue-tied. We have the Three of Wands at the bottom of the deck, as well as the Nine of Coins coming out as another clarifier. So with the Three of Wands, this definitely feels like a waiting period. Like there is a, there is a bit of a delay where you have to either there is like this element of like needing to postpone yourself, some plans that you may have for like taking time out for yourself and looking after your own like mental health and your own well-being. Or it could just be that, that you are not able to put as much time into that as you would like to, especially with the Nine of Coins in reverse as well. Basically, yeah, this is just saying that you don't really have the time or the luxury to like be in a comfortable position, or to just like take time out and enjoy what it is that you have and where you are at your life right now, and all those types of things, right? Which is the energy of the Nine of Coins usually. Like this is being in that moment of like enjoying the luxury, enjoying the peace and quiet, enjoying everything, like all of the rewards of your hard work and all of the fruits of your labor, and just sort of like chilling in it, basically. But with it coming out in reverse, it just feels like you don't really have the luxury to do that. So yeah, and again, I'm looking at all of this yellow, and it's making me feel like, again, like the Sun card, or like there's some sort of heavy like light on you, like yeah. I quickly want to look at the Two of Coins as well. Can we get a quick clarifier for the Two of Coins in the outcome? Okay, yeah. Oh, beautiful. Oh, I love that. We have the Ten of Wands in reverse and the Nine of Swords coming out in as the underlying energy as well. But I mean, don't be alarmed by the Nine of Swords, because in this instance, I actually feel like this is perfect, because what this is saying is that, as a result of you feeling this like mental pressure, or you feeling like under so much strain to perform and, to be on top form all the time and to be what people expect of you, I feel like that is actually the energy. That's the thing. I feel like you're already feeling this Nine of Swords energy, so it's nothing new to you. But I feel like that is what is actually going to push you into this Ten of Wands in reverse energy, which is, again, I feel like you are starting to, as I said, balance things up, create more like stability and more ease, possibly either like delegating some things, or just finding a better daily routine or a better system for yourself, so that all of these things that you, all of this strain that you put on yourself and that other people put on you, that's not going to be as overwhelming. So you can get some respite from all of this pressure that you are feeling, right? So yeah, I actually really, really like that. But anyway, I don't feel like I need to clarify anything other than that. So let's turn our focus to the Oracle cards and close the reading out with some advice from Spirit. So I just want to give you a quick heads up, because I'm using this Oracle deck for the first time. This is the Naughty Oracle. I've actually had it for months and months and months, but I haven't dared to use it on my channel because of its somewhat like blunt and rude messages at times. There are several cuss words in here as well, and so it's definitely not going to be for everyone's taste. But I'm just sort of I wanted to have like a more lighthearted oracle to end the reading with. So these messages are not to be taken overly seriously or personally, especially the wording of them. The advice themselves, or the advice, is still going to be really like on point, as I've seen in previous readings or in previous piles. But yeah, just, don't mind the wording, and please don't be offended. Hopefully you won't be offended. But yeah, let's see. What sort of advice do we have? Okay, this one clearly wanted to come out. Okay, hang on. Sorry, it's so difficult to get a hold of these. So we have number 26, which reduces down to 8, which is all about like movement and momentum. Today's lesson is Murdered Mantra, Earth School Lessons Suck. Yeah, so I feel like, this is just basically spirit or the universe saying that like, the experiences that we go through can be sucky at times. They're not like pleasant, they are not easy, but obviously they are super helpful, and they help us like grow and get to where we need to get to, right? And I feel like as well, like that sort of near breaking point that I feel like you could be feeling at times, this pressure you could be feeling that is like growing, or that you are constantly sort of having to deal with. I feel like that is also actually, I know that it sounds a bit weird, but I feel like it's actually doing you a favor, because it's showing you how the situation needs to change, and I feel like it seems to be like, growing you as a person a lot, because the King of Swords, the energy that you are manifesting, is so powerful and so potent, and I feel like you are really going to enjoy being in that energy and having this sort of like authoritative stance, where you are not just this like source of admiration, but where actually people, they really look up to you and they really respect you for what you have to say as well, and what you believe in, and how you carry yourself. We have love and light, motherfuckers, just this. Yeah, so that's the underlying energy, but let's see what else we can get from, if we can get one more message. Can we get some more advice for pile number 4's reading? Okay, thank you. And this card has come out so much, but we have number 33, which is a master number, but it reduces down to 6, which is a number of harmony. Pull your head in, show more compassion and gratitude. So yeah, I mean, like, I feel like it's just a friendly reminder to like also focus on the things that are good, focus on the things that you are happy about, that you have worked really hard to achieve, and that possibly like other people don't have the luxury of, because it's so easy to sometimes forget when we are living in our own reality and we think that it's the norm because we're so used to it. It's so easy to like fall into the mindset of like, oh, but this is so usual. Like, we don't even consider that other people may never get the same opportunities or the same breakthroughs or advantages that we get in our lives. Sometimes we can't think of that, and so I feel like this is just a friendly reminder to try and also like mitigate the stress or alleviate the strain that you may be feeling at times with just reminding yourself of how much you have actually had to do to get to this point. And also that, not everyone is able to experience the things that you were able to experience. And what are the actual good things that you enjoy about your life as it is right now. At the bottom of the deck, we have number 43, reducing down to 7, which is a number of needing to hold on and push through the obstacles with your soul has fucked off, retrieve it. See, so yeah, it just feels like there is this need to like connect to something deeper within yourself and bring back some level of like authenticity that would speak to a deeper part of you. Because this role seems to have like consumed you so heavily and possibly even like, led you astray in a way. And that's why I feel like all of this exploration energy and this feeling of like, okay, this is not doing it for me anymore. This is too much, or this is not enough, or whatever you may be going through. inside your head, I feel like all of those reasons are coming up for that specific reason, so that you could actually like connect to something deeper, right? And make some necessary changes accordingly. But anyway, I'm going to leave it here, pile number 4. I really enjoyed doing your reading. I felt like this was so much fun and this was so interesting. And I hope that you felt the same way too, even though, you know, maybe at times these messages weren't the easiest to listen to, but hopefully you got something useful from them and hopefully they spoke to you. And if that's the case, please let me know. You can give me a thumbs up, a comment in the comment section, or you can just subscribe. That would mean so much to me. But yeah, I guess I'm gonna leave it here. So thank you. And if I don't see you in any of the other piles, please take care of yourself. And I hope to see you very soon in my next reading. Take care. Bye-bye.